What's good, everybody? This is Bryant Mazique, aka UniqueMazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming. And what's going on, Nelson? This is AtMeBroShow. How y'all feel?
Well, I'm feeling good. I hope all people are feeling good. We got some hot topics today.
I
They
hope
should be
they are
feeling good
feeling
about.
splendid. I mean, you know what? I want them to be feeling so good that it's just, they just beside themselves with how good they feel. You ever been felt that good, but you was beside yourself with how good you felt?
100%. I
You
sure
have?
have.
I hope you have, because if you haven't, you really don't know what it's like. You really don't know what it is. But yeah, we already got some people piling into the chat. I appreciate the folk who wait for us to show and all of that, and and getting this thing going. So let's jump right into everything. Just because it's got some major stuff to talk about. So we want to get it going. The biggest story I think in sports right now is Kevin Durant's injury.
Yeah.
Was watching it live when it happened, and I'm just gonna say I'm happy that it appears to be a calf strain.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You know, because I'm not rooting for Golden State. I'm not. I don't necessarily hate them, but I'm not rooting for them. I don't recall ever root, and it's really weird that I'm not, because I really like Steph. Um, I'll get into that a little bit later on, but I really like Steph, and I like KD. You know,
Hmm.
um, but I don't know. I'm just not rooting for them. But I didn't want to see this happen like that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to
Right.
see, if they're gonna lose. I didn't necessarily want to see them lose because KD went down. Even though Rockets fans can say, well, we lost last year because Chris Paul got hurt, because we had
Hmm.
them beat. So it is what it is. Um,
Even though Chris Paul wasn't out there missing 100 pointers in a row, but that's okay.
Man, Chris Paul looks so. I don't want to go too far into Chris Paul. I want to make sure we talk about the injury, but Chris Paul looks so non-special right now in this series, and I really don't think it has anything to do with whether he can physically do it. It's just mentally and from a schematic standpoint. If it's like they don't have a place for him.
I don't know if that's it. They've put him in some positions to succeed recently. Like when he gets on Steph, they've allowed him to be aggressive. And as they've tried to take the ball out of James's hand, they've allowed him to be aggressive. The problem is he ain't hitting no three pointers. And a lot of players that we criticize these days, it comes down to the shooting because we're in the
Hmm.
shooting era, right? Ben
Right.
Simmons,
Make a
Russell
mislead.
Westbrook,
Make a mislead.
Joel Embiid, right? Like a lot of players, it just comes down to if they could hit threes, we would be talking a lot different about them. And even the Boston Celtics, we'll get into those guys later. I think Chris Paul, if he just hit 15% more threes, he would be, he'd be in a much better situation right now. Because he's still taking guys off the dribble. I mean, certainly Steph, who can't stay in front of nobody. Steph out there on rollerblades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he buttering the soles of his shoes before he start playing defense.
I mean, I've said a long time, man. Steph's a below average on ball defender. He
Hmm.
is. He always has been. He's smart, so he plays positional defense well. He knows where he's supposed to be. But if you spread the floor out and you force him to guard guys on ball, he struggles against just about anybody with any level of wiggle. With any
That
level of wiggle. So that's just a fact.
was a criticism I had for him too, because when they would play the Thunder, I'll never forget. Steve Kerr called a timeout after two plays where he guarded Westbrook.
Hmm.
And it was a version of what we see now, where he was like, "We ain't having Steph guard this guy."
It
And my
kept
thing,
saying.
there's only so bad I'm gonna talk about somebody in a matchup when you have to hide the guy on the other side to
No,
that extent.
I'm going to tell you, I saw something else that was against a different team, where I don't know. Steph must have forgot who they was playing. I don't know what they were playing. The Washington Wizards, and this was prime John Wall, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
John Wall comes up the court, and there's video of this. I wish I could find it. But John Wall comes up the court, and as soon as Steph sees him, he streaks into the corner to go get the guy to the corner,
Right,
and
right.
and switches with Clay. And I mean, he takes off running like a bat out of hell.
Hmm.
And at that moment, and because what we've seen from him following that, I haven't seen anything different from him on defense. That's the thing that always keeps me from putting Steph on the next tier. When it
Honestly, the
comes.
only thing that keeps me from, because there's a lot of bad off defensive players that people give a lot of credit to.
Hmm.
So I don't do that with Steph. In terms of when comparing him to the true elite, like your Durant, Kawhi, Giannis, when LeBron was in his prime, then no. But the second tier guys like Harden and like Westbrook, most of those guys have a certain flaw, and I put Steph above those guys when he's on his game and playing super well, particularly because of the tremendous advantage that his particular skill set gives the rest of his team. But that having been said, before we get too off track with the injury, do we on this show have any confidence in Houston taking advantage of the situation?
I was
KD's not playing the rest of the series. They're not going to see Kevin Durant again.
right. I was really disappointed in their I was disappointed in them across the board last night. I was
Hmm.
disappointed in Harden. I was disappointed in Chris Paul. I was disappointed in Mike D'Antoni. The only person I probably wasn't disappointed with, who you look to for any level of scoring, is Eric Gordon. And the reason why I say that,
He's been fantastic.
right, and it wasn't because he made or missed shots. It had nothing to do with that. It had simply to do with aggression.
Yeah,
You got this team reeling. The Warriors were playing terrible, and the worst thing possible that could happen had just happened.
I disagree with that. The worst thing possible would be Steph going down
See, I
because
I, I think
they're.
I think
I
I
mean,
think
the numbers don't lie. Like they're incredible when they play with Steph Curry, and they're okay when they play with Durant with no Curry.
but see, I think for this particular matchup, the reason why I think Durant going down is worse for them, should be worse. But Houston still has to show up. The reason why is because Houston is a team who I've always said, like I said, can control tempo. And in order to beat Golden State in the form that they were in before Durant got there, you have to be able to control tempo. What Durant
Hmm.
did was Durant allows them to play at a different speed, at a slower speed, because he can execute in the half court better than everybody else in the NBA at this point. So for Houston,
Except Kawhi Leonard.
having have huh?
Except Kawhi Leonard, but yeah.
I don't know, man. In the half court, if you tell me to somebody I need to say, go get me a bucket, and I mean, I'm not. I mean, Kawhi is amazing, but I don't know if there's any
Yeah,
human being right
as of
now in
right now, I
the
think
world.
he's shooting 99% against Philadelphia on the series. Like
Yeah, I
he's been
don't know, man.
so ridiculously special. But no, I feel what you're saying. They're in the same discussion. The thing for me with it is the control tempo thing works well in theory, but when Clay and Steph are the primary scorers on that team, their ability to detonate is so incredibly high that I do think that's the optimal version of the team, and the team it's the hardest to kill, because when Durant's on the court, it's about, does Durant miss a shot? And Durant can be muscled out of position in certain spots in the court. While he is overall efficient, he's not a guy who is going to get a foul or a bucket no matter what. Sometimes he puts himself in a make or miss situation. And when he's getting twos and you're getting threes, Golden State becomes more beatable. And Durant is good. He's a great 3-point shooter, but he's not Steph, right? He's not even Clay. He's a great 3-point shooter, but he's not the same as those guys, where he's going to hit 14 threes in the game, be so hot that you got guys draped all over him, and he's just hitting three after three after three. That's not his game. He might do that every once in a while. Steph and Clay can do that to you every game. I'll take game one, you take game two, and it'll just be 40 points from me, 40 points from you, 8, 9 3-pointers apiece, ain't nothing to it. They just shoot it like that. And what happens with Kevin only has to miss one free throw line fadeaway to two Houston 3-pointers for all of a sudden for your advantage to disappear. So that's why for me, I have no confidence in Houston taking advantage of it. And that's why I don't think it's the worst thing that could happen. I think having Kevin versus James Harden with the second best player being Klay Thompson, that would have been the absolute like worst if there was just no Steph Curry spreading the floor. With Steph, this team has shown that they can beat anybody with this lineup.
Yeah, like I said, I don't. Well, like I was saying, I don't. I think that's the case for most matchups. I just don't think it's the case for Houston. Matched up against Houston, they need the guy that they can throw the ball to, either on the block, on the wing, or at the top of the key. And he allows Steph and Clay to rest.
So are you
And
picking Houston
but
to win?
No. That's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I said I was disappointed in what happened with them last night because um, there was a lack of an aggression. There was a lack of aggression. Uh, Eric Gordon was the only person who was attacking, right? James Harden, Chris Paul, every other person that they looked to for buckets was um, tentative, especially after Durant went down, which I was saying, I still feel is the worst thing that could have happened to them at that point, especially with them having already coughed up a 20-point lead. You just coughed up a 20-point lead. I think the jump shot that Durant hit uh, gave the Warriors back a 1-point lead because the Rockets had already taken the lead. So you got them reeling. This is a shot that is a kind of, he's trying to stem the tide a bit. He knocks it down. He gets hurt. At that point, there's blood in the water. Golden State is a little disoriented, maybe for the next 3 to 5 plays. There was a chance there for the Rockets to really make hay, to put some distance between them and Golden State. And instead, they started running the shot clock down, not getting into any offense until there was 9 seconds left on the shot clock. And to me, I think that really, really allowed Golden State to get their footing. It allowed them to get there to regroup, so to speak. Steph started knocking down big shots. Draymond made a humongous play. He got the rebound, and as Houston was somewhat walking back on defense, ran the ball straight down the court, ran right up their backs, hit I can't remember who he hit in the corner, hit somebody for a corner three, and that right there helped to ignite them. And I just feel like Houston really wasted their opportunity to take advantage of it. I mean,
But Houston has 2 games to prepare for a Durant-less Golden State Warriors,
yes.
who we can all say this isn't a one-to-one comparison to what they were before, right? They're all a little older. Andrew Bogut's not, he's way older, right? He actually has been
Mm-hmm.
out of the league. Iggy's been playing really well, so I won't put him on that list because Iggy almost looks like he's just not playing during the regular season. Then he's fresh for the playoffs. But no Harrison Barnes. And as much as people want to talk about Harrison Barnes, you're basically losing KD without a replacement when KD goes down with injury. So it's a slightly different team. Although, even with KD on the roster, they've performed very well when KD's been out. Why don't you think Houston will win these next 2 games?
Well, I don't think it's not what I picked Houston to win this series from the beginning, and so I'm going to stick with that
Oh, so
because
you do pick them because I asked you, are they gonna you pick
no,
Houston to win?
you said do I lost confidence in them winning? So I wanted to explain where my confidence was a bit shaken, but then at the end I would round it out by saying yes, I do still pick them. That is the prediction that I made originally, and I'm going to stick with that. Um, what happened in Game 5 gives me pause, but I'm still going to stick with that prediction.
If they get past Houston, do you see any other team able to beat Golden State with no Kevin Durant?
To me, for me, that's the wrong question. For me, is who's going to be Milwaukee? Because I'm holding on to that
Well,
prediction.
we talking about Golden State. That's why I asked.
Uh, yeah, I mean they won't beat Milwaukee. Golden State won't beat Milwaukee.
So you think they definitely, without Kevin Durant, beat Portland and Denver?
Well, I don't know if Kevin's going to be without. They're going to be without him for Denver. If that's is assuming that Portland can't come back and win 2 games, which they probably
Well,
can't.
here's the difficult thing with that is they're supposed to get him back. We don't know how that's gonna go. Because he strained a calf, and from the shot that I saw, he don't even have calves, so I don't know how that's gonna work
It's
out.
actually he strained the calf in the regular season as well, and he strained the
Yeah.
calf last year. He missed 3 games when it happened before, but this is
Mhm.
different because it's later in the season, and you're going into a free agent year, and there's a lot going on.
It's the second time around. Also, the playoffs are such a short turnaround. Every game is necessary.
Hmm.
There'll be no game that he wants to take off, and he's not going to be able to do any exercise. So his first game back, possibly the recovery day after, you might not get full Kevin Durant until he's back for 2 or 3 games. You might get a situation where until game 5 of the next series, you don't get Kevin Durant, and in terms of what he was up until now in the playoffs, which
Yeah,
has been absolutely brilliant up until
I
now.
mean he's obviously a world class athlete, but I did the exact same thing that he did. It looked almost the exact same thing. I jumped up for a jump shot. It was funny because I was at a 2K event and we were playing, was playing with YouTubers and Cash Nasty and a bunch of people we were playing with. And I'm telling you, it was like the second or third trip down the floor, and we were in New York. And
Mm-hmm.
I came off, came off, came off and took a pass and jumped up, took a jump shot. I can't even remember if it went in or not. I came down and I was going to take a step, like a regular step, and all of a sudden I felt, and
Yeah.
I was like, "What was that?" And I started stretching it out just like he did last night, because it doesn't feel like it's that at first.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like it's something that you can't keep running with, but then like in the next 5 minutes, you literally are limping like he was limping.
Mm-hmm.
And I was scared at the time that it was like an Achilles. I had
Achilles,
blown
yeah.
an Achilles too. So it sucks, man. It definitely sucks. But if I was him, honestly, if I was not 100%, that's my last game.
I wouldn't say that. I say, for a championship, you got to go. If you don't go for a championship, then you need to just take off the sneakers, like, period. And he's a competitor, and I think he is committed to the Golden State Warriors as much as he can be, until he's not there anymore. So I think as a competitor, he wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend he do that. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would definitely want to finish it out as soon as I felt I was ready to go. And it is a calf strain, so it's one of those things where even if it's worse, he'll recover from it. You know what I mean?
Well, from what I understand, and this is from, I was listening to a couple athletes today talk about it who've had calf strains, and who have had calf strains turn into other injuries because they tried to play sooner than they were 100%. And they were, because of overcompensation, which happens
Hmm.
to a lot of people. They have experienced other issues that were longer term injuries. So he does have to think about that. Jalen Rose was talking about it today. He mentioned that as well.
Hmm.
So he does have to think about it. I I said if it was me, and that probably isn't true. If it was me, I'd probably try to play hurt, because
Hmm.
I wouldn't be able to do. But it's probably not the smartest thing. And in retrospect, he probably would be like, if it did end up hurting himself further, he probably look back and say, "Man, I won
Yeah, I think it's definitely a
in a
risky
row."
proposition,
Yeah.
coming back and playing playoff basketball on it. But
Hmm.
I think it's a risk he's forced to take because the reputation hit of him being cleared by the doctors and not playing because he's getting a paycheck. That's worse.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think to a degree, there's people who would understand because of the situation that he's in, going into a free agent year, about to be the biggest free agent on the market. And from my understanding, and so this is, I mean, obviously you've heard this before. Everybody said this before, but I've learned from some place that has proven to be pretty reliable. Which last year I told everybody months before it happened that LeBron was a lock to the Lakers.
Mhm.
Okay, Kevin Durant is a lock to the Knicks. It's
Mhm.
going to happen.
Mhm.
It's already been. It's happening. It's not
Mhm.
a if it happens. It's none of that. But it could be a if it happens if he hurts himself
Well,
first.
what I think the danger of that is really Kawhi has been so great that if he looks like he's limping into the offseason, if the Knicks had the choice between him and Kawhi, Kawhi being younger, um, being so great defensively, being so great during the playoffs, I do think Kawhi is legitimate competition for Kevin Durant as a free agent,
I think so
particularly if
too.
he's hurt. Like
I think so too.
if he's limping, I don't think a franchise just says KD or Kawhi, KD all day. No, I think they go, well, hold on now, how does how does he fit in? Who does he play with? Kawhi's younger. Like I do think that you say he's the biggest free agent on the market. While I don't think that that's necessarily untrue, it's untrue in the sense that I think Kawhi is pretty much equally as big at this point.
Well,
Um,
here's the thing. I don't think that if KD were to decide to sit out the remainder of the postseason, I don't think that would be looked at as he's limping into the offseason.
right, because
Because
you assume he'll be healthy. But if
and
he
because
gets hurt again,
yes, and
then maybe not.
right.
But I think I don't know. I think it's one of those things where they'll talk to the doctors, they'll take a look at him. There's a pretty good amount of time between, let's hypothetically, whenever he would stop playing and when July 1st hits, that you'd see him dunking on people in practice or whatever. If it's a 4 to 6 week injury, you have about that time for people to say no, he's still Kevin Durant, he's fine. So I think it'd be fine ultimately either way. I think he has to play and try to win this championship. I do think they're in a lot of danger, but I just don't trust Houston to close the deal.
Yeah, I think they're in a lot of danger. I think, put it like this: Houston should win. They should
On
win.
paper, they should
They should
definitely win.
win both of these games.
Yeah.
I mean, the Warriors, just from an energy level yesterday, look spent. They look popped from. I mean, if you look at their faces, I'm not even talking. I'm talking about even before Durant got hurt. I
Hmm.
mean, after Durant got hurt, they looked a little invigorated, to be
Hmm.
honest. But
Hmm.
before, right before, I mean, they had that sunken face look that is like a team that's literally getting run over and they don't have the energy to pull themselves out. But the injury seemed to ignite Steph. And I got so much more respect for Steph last night after that. It was really awesome. But um let's talk about let's move on to the next subject, which is let's talk about Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics. What are your thoughts on that right now? I mean,
Well, my first thought overall, and really need to clarify, if anybody's watching the show and you aren't familiar with the Sim Hangout, we've talked about a Kyrie before. And when Kyrie was considered top tier, being compared to Steph and Westbrook, I was always slow down. I don't think he's that. I don't think he's an MVP level player. I think he's the next notch down, which is not a bad thing. He's awesome. 26 points per game, super clutch, one of the best closers in the game, all that. But he can be absolutely horrible on defense. He's pouty. He's moody. He's not particularly athletic. He's a little injury prone. So I say that all to say I'm not a Kyrie Irving fan, stan, or defender. But in this particular case, I don't think Kyrie Irving is to blame for the Celtics' year. In this series, he was horrible. And if he played like he did in this series throughout the year, then I would put that on him. But he was the Boston Celtics' best player by a wide margin for most of the year. And we've talked a lot on this show. And the Celtics themselves, especially the veterans, have talked a lot about how it was the younger guys not playing to their level when they played with Kyrie Irving. People pouting about also Gordon Hayward getting playing time and not getting what they thought they'd earned from last year. And at different points of the year, Tatum looked like Jason Tatum of last year. Jalen Brown looked like Jalen Brown. Terry Rozier occasionally show up only when Kyrie Irving is sitting for the most part. Did he really look like the best of himself? He rarely played that well with Kyrie on the floor. I think that's a Brett Brown issue. And specifically, I think that the Kyrie Irving Al Horford pick and roll should have been something to be feared at all times throughout the year. But Brett Brown has his vision for how the team's supposed to go, and he did the classic I'm going to make my players adapt to me instead of adapting to my personnel.
so who you're talking Brad Stevens, right?
Brad Stevens, I'm sorry, I said Brett
Okay.
Brown from the Sixers. Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens wants his players to adjust to his system. He doesn't want to adapt his system to the personnel that he has. And as a result, he had two teams: the Kyrie Irving team, which was pretty good, and the not Kyrie Irving team, which was pretty good. Neither of those pretty good teams were good enough to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, who are fantastic, which is what we've been saying on the show for a while. We both had this series picked to not be particularly competitive. So I'm not going to take a series that I expected the Bucks to win in 5, and then when they win in 5, point the finger at Kyrie and say it's your fault. No, it's the Boston Celtics' fault because they didn't put together a team that could compete with a team as good as Milwaukee. I don't care how well Kyrie Irving played. I think he could have averaged 35 points a game. They'd have still lost in 5 or 6. So all I haven't been said, he deserves his share of the blame. I don't think he deserves a lion's share of the blame. I think Brad Stevens and the young players' lack of adaptability was mostly the issue because Kyrie Irving for the better part of the year was efficient. He was a much better playmaker than he'd ever been before. He adapted his game. He improved his game. He wasn't perfect, but if the version of Kyrie that you got didn't make you happy, I don't know what Kyrie you had in your imagination, what Galaxy Opal Kyrie you thought you was gonna get, but you got a version of Kyrie that was better than the one that was in Cleveland in a lot of ways, and you weren't able to do anything with it. So I think it's best for him to part ways with Boston, particularly because I just don't think he works with Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I definitely think that Kyrie is the best player on the team. Right? He's the best. He's the overall best, most talented player on the team. I mean, you can make an argument that Jason Tatum's more physically talented and it at some point will be better. But as it is right now, Kyrie's the best player. But the weird thing is that the Celtics were always better this year without him, from a record standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, from an overall effectiveness standpoint. They were better. So that's the thing that's weird, right? That's the thing that's weird. And because of that, I don't know that any of the people that you named are really the fault, right? Because as you said, Kyrie came and Kyrie was a better version of everything. He was even better than what they bought.
Can I
Essentially.
comment on that real quick? I want you to finish your point, but
Okay.
you bring up a specific thing, and here's the thing: on paper, normally I would totally agree with you, but I actually watched a lot of these games where there was no Kyrie and games where there was Kyrie, and literally guys just ran harder. Like the young guys in particular, like Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, Terry Rozier, you would see them play defense, and then they play with Kyrie. I'm like, why aren't you playing the? He's not stopping you from doing your job. Like you could be doing your job better. It's not even about shots. And we both agreed on the show. Kyrie's not shooting too many shots for the level of skill that he has offensively. A player like that, you allow him 3, 4 bad shots a game, no problem, because he's gonna make some of those shots, his rhythm, whatever. But for the most part, he's too efficient to criticize his shot selection. He's just way too efficient, right? But when you look at those guys, I think their issues were causing them not to play hard as when they thought they were getting something in return for it. When they thought they were going to get a certain amount of shine, they would play harder. And that's not on Kyrie. He can't make them play harder. That's not his job. That's Brad Stevens' job. And he didn't do that job.
Well, for what I was getting at is um whether no matter the reason, right, why they were better, because we can say, oh well, it looks like they were running harder, or it looks like they were playing harder, or it looks like they were more into it. I think there's a reason why that's the case. I think part of the reason why is because their way of winning, the way this team has always won, has been with a share the ball, spread the floor, whoever gets the open shot takes the shot. That's the way they've played. That's the way they've had success. Kyrie's style is different than that. I'm not saying it's a wrong or incorrect or he's not being efficient. None of that. It's just a different style. And as I mentioned before, there have been times where you play with a guy and if you played on like an organized basketball team, you play with a guy who is good. I mean, he's good, and you and everybody on the team knows this dude's probably the best player on the team. But the way he plays literally takes other people out of the game, and it's just it's not even necessarily he's going to take everybody out of the game, but that particular group of players that you have with him now, it takes them out of the game. They don't rebound as well. They don't run the floor the same. They don't knock down as many open shots when they're playing with him. It's just the chemistry, the whole way the game they function as a unit is not as seamless with him on the floor. I think that's what this is. I really think so. I don't think that it's necessarily anybody's fault. If you do want to point the finger at somebody, you can kind of point it at Danny Ainge, but I don't know that you can really criticize him for making the trade because it seemed like the right thing to do. Sometimes trades just don't work out. It doesn't mean that they were bad. It doesn't mean that they were stupid and somebody, miscalculated, personnel or talent. It doesn't mean any of that. Sometimes they just don't work. And I think that this is an example of a trade that seemed to make sense that just didn't work. And I don't think it's Kyrie's fault. I don't think it's Brad Stevens' fault. I don't even think it's the young players on Boston's fault. I don't think it's any of their fault. It just didn't work.
Well, and the reason I disagree with that is because not only, and I know when I bring up reports, you criticize that because reports aren't always true. Not only has it been the reports consistently throughout the year, but the Celtics themselves. Brad Stevens has said this, Kyrie Irving has said this, Marcus Morris has said this, Marcus Smart has said this, Terry Rozier has said this. Danny Ainge alluded to it. The young guys had agendas, and they weren't buying in the way they did last year because they had so much success that they weren't prepared to play their roles to the same level. And only when they thought they were going to get a chance to be all stars did they want to play their roles. And I got to put that on you. And just from a schematic standpoint, again, when you see the Kyrie Irving Al Horford pick and roll, it's like that's one of the hardest to defend pick and rolls in the league. Why am I only seeing it sometimes? I don't understand that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand it. And again, from a personality standpoint, I really think that it's on the coach to hold guys accountable and say, you adapt or you get out of here. And that never happened in Boston. They just let those guys pout all year. And you'd hear it November. Yeah, looks like we have a little pouting. January. Looks like guys are pouting. They go on a streak. They go on a bad streak. Up, looks like guys are pouting again. Coming out of Boston all year. And what's Brad Stevens saying during that time? Nothing. He's just being a good old coach. No, I put that on you. That's what being an NBA coach is about. You hear all the time about like guys like Phil Jackson, Mark Jackson, Popovich as well. Not just the X's and O's guys. He's good with personalities. He knows how to be a leader of men. He knows how to manage personalities because particularly in the NBA, when every player gets so much time on camera with the basketball in their hands, playing time, five people on the court, everybody is 20% of the effect of what's going on the court at a minimum, basically, if everybody's equal, possibly more if you're dominant. You have to be able to manage egos. And I can't find any argument or evidence that Brad Stevens has any ability to do that or even attempted it.
Well, for me, I would agree that Brad Stevens is definitely what I call a Hoiberg personality type. He is I believe Fred Hoiberg has a brilliant mind for basketball. I don't think he gets he didn't get an opportunity to get to it because
Mm-hmm.
the personalities on his team were too strong and they overtook him, and so you never found out on a professional level. And I don't think that's a switch he even has to be able to flip. And I think Brad Stevens is in the same category. When I talk about reports, what I talk about with the reports is those that are based on according to sources. This person said this. Now, if there's somebody, a principal involved, standing there literally speaking or giving a quote, then that's different because the person is sitting here saying it in front of you. But these reports that say according to sources, blah 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 blah, all of those types of things, especially the ones that people love to jump on. Not saying you, but people, fans love to jump on this. Is when you hear someone say, "Well, the Bulls are interested in so and so and so and so," and they got that from someone put out a report or someone tweeted the Bulls have interest in so and in whatever player. And so many people take those types of quotes, whether it's not even just about being interested in a player. Someone says, well, the according to sources, Celtics younger players have their own agenda. Jaylen Brown wants to do this. Jaylen Brown wants to do that. That none of that is really confirmed. And so often those things are wrong. So often those things are wrong. So like the ideal way to handle and to process that information is to hear it, understand that it's been said, observe, and then watch to see if someone who's a principal involved in the situation either confirms or denies it. Because that stuff, dude, if I could tell you how many times I've been in a virtual chat or in a room with several different publications where I've seen how the strongest verbiage you can find is literally generated for a headline, and how people take it and run down the street with
Oh,
it.
well,
It
listen,
it
and I've,
really
I've made this
it's
argument before.
amazing. It's amazing.
I
So
totally trust
that's what
you
I'm saying.
on that, and I agree with that. But usually, when I bring up reports, I'm looking at stuff that has evidence that you can see, that you can also corroborate with multiple sources and reports from different areas. Because I'm not even always talking about media people reporting. Sometimes a teammate has said this, or a coach has said that, or a former player has said this. And when I'll say reports, I'm talking about there's a lot of evidence for this. And if we want to go down the line and say whether it's true or not true, we can do that. But I'm not just going to dismiss it because the hardest of hard evidence isn't there. It's there's some evidence for this and reports about it. Believe it, don't believe it, but that's on the table. Not that's on the table and completely confirms this 100% without a doubt. And I think you can include a level of what could be considered hearsay, what could be considered valid. There's a big gray area there because
Mhm.
people don't want to risk their reputation giving out information, and reporters can't confirm their sources a lot of cases specifically. They can't say the GM of the such and such said this, right?
Right.
So, and it's a case by case basis. But I don't want to get too off track with the Kyrie Irving thing. I think Kyrie Irving is a moody, iffy teammate in certain ways, and you need a something around that to police that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's and I think ideally, if he went to a place like the Miami Heat, that's great because they're gonna let him pout a little bit and then knock it off when it's time to knock it off. Because Spoelstra and Riley and Dwayne Wade up wherever he's doing in the front office, they're not gonna have that. They have a culture. Popovich, they have a culture, and you have to respect that culture. There's a few other places in the league where I think he can fit in, like Doc Rivers, LA Clippers. That'd be perfect for Kyrie because he'd go there, great coach for him. They're going to try and get the most out of him. But if he starts pouting, 2 days, knock it off. This is about the team, this ain't about you. I don't care about your flat earth. You got a job to do, and that job involves you communicating. You ain't running hard enough on defense, right?
Right.
And there's accountability there. I think and this is what I don't like about Ty Lue. I don't think Ty Lue was always eager to hold Kyrie accountable. Maybe because he had his hands full with LeBron. Maybe it's his ulcers being caused by clutch sports. I don't know. But he let Kyrie get away with too much. Brad Stevens let Kyrie get away with too much. I don't think that's the main root of this. I think that's a struggle you're always going to have whenever you coach Kyrie Irving. One of the reasons that I'm not like, oh, Kyrie to the Knicks, yay. Like, do I want
Yeah.
to?
No, I'd agree. I understand.
Yeah, if he playmaking point guard that doesn't play a whole lot of defense, is semi-injury prone and is moody, not particularly. That's not particularly the team I want to root for.
Yeah. No.
If you talk about the Brooklyn Nets, people's about talking about Kyrie to Brooklyn. I'm like,
Why?
exactly. Are you seriously talking about giving up a 23-year-old D'Angelo Russell, 6'5", on the rise, took that team further than they should go, basically not playing with a center, versus Kyrie Irving won a few more games with the Boston Celtics?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly believe that uh by this time next year, there may not be a gap if much at all between D'Angelo Russell and Kyrie Irving. To be honest, there may not be. I mean, because D'Angelo's bigger, and that right there in itself is a big deal when the skill level is somewhat comparable. So, yeah, I definitely I don't know if he'll be the shooter that Kyrie is that quickly.
Well, it's really that Kyrie's such a remarkable finisher, post up. He's just a great scorer
He's
all
just
around.
a great scorer.
Shooting wise, I actually think they like if you look at D'Angelo Russell, he looks like he will be a great shooter
Yeah,
in his prime.
he
Because
will. But
he
I
has
think
moments where he's a
Kyrie.
great shooter.
Yeah,
From a shooting standpoint, but there's shooting happens all over the court, right?
yeah,
So you're also talking about floaters and
yes,
layups, and and everything, and like step backs and all this other stuff. The main thing is, will that gap be worth it? Because D'Angelo Russell is not in that MVP conversation where Kyrie Irving sneaks into it when he's playing well. So when you have D'Angelo, it's understood we should have more money to spend on other people. When you have Kyrie Irving, he might make the same amount of money as Kawhi Leonard. And I don't want to pay people Kawhi Leonard money if they're not giving me Kawhi Leonard benefits.
yeah. No, I totally. I would if I'm the Knicks. I mean, the Bulls need a point guard, but if the Bulls got Kyrie, I'd be like, oh, that's good. That would be
Cool.
that would be my reaction. And I'm gonna watch and I'm gonna root for him because he's wearing
Right.
my team's colors. But it's not what I'm not. If you will see a much better reaction out of me if the Bulls get the second pick overall and draft Ja Morant.
Ja Morant, yeah. So yeah, if the Knicks do get Kyrie and KD, obviously, I'm rooting for the Knicks now when they got Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox. So obviously, I'm gonna root for them then. But are those the two players that I want the most in free agency? Absolutely not. I'd be much happier if we got Kawhi Leonard and Klay Thompson.
Yeah. So all right, let's move on. I gotta talk about this. I got to get this off my chest. Last night I was really, really, um, I was really proud of Steph Curry last night. The way he played, considering he's been trash. Just to say,
Yeah,
by
yeah.
his standards, he's been trash.
He's been trashed by a lot of people's
Yeah,
standards.
I mean, he's been trash, right? He's been hurt, and he's had to deal with something that really blows my mind. I'm not sure what in the world Ayesha Curry was trying to accomplish or is trying to accomplish with the stuff that she's doing and saying, right? So anybody who didn't see it, Jada Pinkett Smith has a show called the Red Top Table or Red Table Top,
Red Table Talks.
Red Table Talks, right? So on her show, she bears her soul a bit. The guests that she has on there, they come on and they have real, kind of personal conversations and they share some things about themselves, right? So that's the forum for sure. So Ayesha Curry, Steph's wife, and Steph's mother were on the show a couple days, 3-4 days ago, and Ayesha Curry comes out with the fact that Steph gets a ton of female attention all the time. He's got to beat him off with sticks, and his sister. He got to beat him off with sticks, but she sometimes feels bad and wonders why she doesn't get any female attention. I mean,
Male
any male attention. I'm sorry, male attention. She doesn't get any attention from males at all. So, and she says, I wonder sometimes what's wrong with me. Why am I not getting any attention from guys? And Nelson, I definitely open the floor for you to talk about it. But I got something that I got to say.
Oh, please, by all means.
I don't understand why it seems like athletes' family members. There's always a family member in an athlete who seems to create situations that their actual athlete family member is the one who ends up having to answer for. Ayesha Curry has not made one open three. She hasn't beat anybody off the dribble. She hasn't made a free throw. She hasn't gotten beat on defense, played good defense, anything. But yet, you are going on television talking, saying stuff that's from your house, your business. Now I'm gonna speak as a married person, right? Forget the whole everything, right? There is never, ever any benefit in telling other people in the public something about your marriage and something you feel like is missing from your marriage or you personally in that way that is ever beneficial. The millions of people in the world who saw that, they can't help you get no attention, or if they do help you get attention, what? So you literally telling me that you're a married woman who is respected. And I'm going to tell you something Brandon Jennings said that really made a lot of sense. You're a married woman that's protected, that's respected. You got 3 kids, but you are sitting at home longing for the attention. You're rich too. I forgot. Let me put that out there. You're rich, and your husband is Steph freaking Curry. But you're sitting at home longing for the attention of random guys just because. And you're saying this in front of his mama. Do you know what my mama would have done if my wife had a sat next to her on national television and
Oh,
told everybody that she could that she wanted to get some attention from some other guys?
what would she have done?
What? Girl, what? I'm like, dude, I swear to God, man, I don't the level, and I don't even care if it was like a stunt, a publicity. I don't care.
I don't think it
I
was.
don't think it was either. I don't think it was either. But some people may say that. Dude, it is. It's so. Brandon Jennings said something that I thought was so poignant. He said the fact that guys don't approach you like that is a compliment.
Right.
It's not that you're ugly or anything like that. They don't approach you because they have a certain respect for you. Well, they had a certain respect for you and said, "Oh, you know what? It like dudes see her and they like, oh, she's nice looking or whatever." And I'm quite sure somebody else feels like, "Woo, man, if it wasn't for Steph." But you don't say stuff like most of the time, most guys with any level of couth and respect, right? Don't go at nobody's wife or female, and they if they're in, especially if they're in a certain situation in a relationship, a marriage that appears to be sound and
Yeah, a
all that.
happy marriage. You don't want to break
Nobody's
up a
gonna
happy
do
home.
that. Nobody's gonna the guys don't want to do so. The fact that they see her like this is a compliment, but she ain't even getting the compliment. She like, no, don't respect me. I want to be disrespected up in here. I want you to heap a bunch of advances on me. That's what I would like. It's
Well,
the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
okay, I think there's two separate things. There's what you're feeling and should you say it,
It,
right?
like, oh,
So,
okay. Can I let me? Okay. Sometimes people feel certain ways, right?
sure.
And we all feel ways sometimes that maybe technically we shouldn't feel. Technically, whatever. You might have certain feeling or whatever, and you're like, man, I probably shouldn't even feel like that, but I do. Okay, keep that to yourself or tell him. Tell your husband that you feel a certain type of way, because you know what, when you marry, there's a lot of things you share with your wife, with your spouse, that you wouldn't share with nobody else. That's why you married them. That's why they there. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole point. Why are you telling Brian? Why are you telling Nelson? Why are you telling Tasha Kier? Why are you telling Mr. 1989? Why are you telling Albert Miles? Why are you telling everybody else in the chat that you
Okay,
want some attention? Tasha
so
Kier, call
again,
Ayesha Curry. She wants some attention. Do it now.
there's two separate things. So let's first of all talk about what she's feeling. Okay, in a lot of marriages, the husband and wife can't solve all of each other's problems. And when you're in these power couples, and the power couple doesn't have to be on the level of Steph Curry. It could be, your husband or wife runs a company, or they could just be coach of a team, even if it's just a regular school team, but you always got to be at functions and stuff like that. Like anything can make y'all a version of a power couple where your marriage is consistently exposed to the public. There are certain things that they're going to go through that they can't speak to anybody about, certain situations they get in. And I can understand how with these celebrity wives having to constantly be on the lookout for, you know, every woman, because women recognize each other and the signs they put out, right? Like guys, we're notoriously blind to the signals women put out because women can't, they don't feel like they can say what they feel all the time. They speak through symbols, right? Through signals. So women see these signals from other women all the time. So they're looking at 100,000 messages going towards Steph Curry, and he's ignoring all the messages by her account. He's not coming up and saying, you know, he's not responding to them, but she's still seeing them. And then on the flip side, she doesn't feel sexy anymore, right? Like she's not getting that give back from anybody outside of the marriage. I'm not going to sit here and say that is invalid for her to have those feelings. Like you said, it's not about those feelings being right or wrong, but to go on TV and now invite the entire planet Earth to discuss that is a different thing entirely. Now, I think whenever you have problems in a marriage, if you feel like you can't say something to your partner at a certain time, to bottle it up and just hold down the fort can result in a lack of mental health. Because when you're in a couple, whether you're married or not, but if you're living under the same roof, you guys create a special environment, a special universe that's not your own anymore. You're like sharing everything. You're sharing the space with somebody. You're sharing all these intimacy and these feelings. And if at any point that you're not feeling comfortable, if you just eat it every day and you hold on to it every day, I think that's why a lot of relationships are unsuccessful, because the mental health of one partner or both partners can deteriorate. And sometimes talking to that partner might be in the future, but in the present, you need to talk to somebody else just to get it off your chest. I'm feeling this way. And if I say this to them, it's going to create a big problem or even a distraction. I don't want to bother with them with that right now. So I need to talk to somebody about this because it's going to make me start to act worse if every time I close my eyes and they turn around, I'm thinking about these things, whatever those things might be. Talk to somebody, not Jada Pinkett on Facebook. That's the thing for me, right? Like people, we're human beings. Our feelings aren't perfect. Just because you marry somebody, it doesn't make all of your insecurities go away. It
That's true.
doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make all your problems go away. It doesn't make you a perfect person. That other person doesn't make you a perfect person. So all your little imperfect feelings, totally okay. But not okay to publicly air that out in the way that it was aired out, in terms of, at the end of the day, I wish I had more attention from men outside of my marriage. Is not a great thing for Steph Curry to have to hear from the internet.
That's not. It's not. And to honestly, it's extremely, it's extremely selfish and it's extremely immature, is what it is. And I will differ in some of the things that you were saying. As someone who has lived with somebody not married and lived with someone married, the universe is different once you get married. So it's not the same universe. It's not the same. Only people who think it's the same universe is people who haven't been
I didn't
married.
say it was the same. I'm saying it's different from being single. I'm
Yeah,
saying living with someone is different from being
it's
single,
just different.
and
All
marrying somebody is different from living with somebody. But they're
it's
both different from being single and having your own space.
yeah, it's just it's when you marry someone, it's different. Everything's different. Everything's different. And even the way that you problem solve is different. You can't go off on your own doing stuff like that. And it's just her doing that is extremely immature and selfish, man. This guy is at work, literally. He's at work. And like you just said, he's got to hear about this and try to concentrate on work, as difficult and as high pressure as his job is, because, and I'm struggling, and I'm shooting 25% from 3-point range, and I got a knee problem, and I got this going on. But you on the red table talk, talking about you want, I mean, can imagine the scene of, like, what, you know what? Actually, I'm quite sure he already found out from his mother and his sister, because his mother and his sister were there. So before anybody else knew
Right.
it, I'm sure they knew it,
Yeah,
because
because it
I'm
wasn't
quite
filmed
sure
live.
Steph mama hit him up right after the thing and said, baby, Ayesha on TV talking about some, yeah, she wants some attention from some, I don't know what's going on. I I don't know, but I just want you to know that this is what she just said.
Well, the thing is, I think they understand what she was feeling. Like if you looked at just the facial expressions of the women around that
What I
table,
looked at was the body language. I looked at Steph's mother's foot
well,
under the table.
the mother, no, but I think the rest of the women at the table are because the mother's thinking about her son first. But I
Yeah,
think she
and
understands.
Aisha should be thinking about the son first. That's the
I,
problem.
well, I mean, we agree on that point. I think the women, they have those feelings. Like I have a lot of female friends who've told me a lot of these same things. Like that's why it wasn't a surprise to me. Like when I watched it, I'm like, yeah, I've seen that. Married women saying that for whatever reason. So it differs from marriage to marriage. That there's a relationship with outside of the marriage attention to their confidence, their sexual confidence, particularly because aging is different for men than it is for women. So that's on top of everything else. It's a
Yeah,
question that
I don't think that's something for all women, though. I don't think we can. I don't think that's.
well,
A,
it's not about the women, it's about society.
yeah, but I
Society
think
without
the woman
question.
is gonna be. I think anytime we get into a thing where you start put a generalization on, well, men do this and women do that, I
No,
mean,
we're just about some. Just this is a
yeah,
thing that happens. We're not saying this is a thing that always happens. This is a thing that happens. Clearly, it just happened, right? And they echoed the fact that they had some of those same feelings. So just because it happens doesn't mean it always happens. But bottom line is, this is a situation where handling it publicly is not the way to handle it.
yeah,
Particularly because even the way she's describing it, you're not describing an emergency, you're just describing something that kind of annoys you. So to take something that kind of bugs you, that kind of gets on your nerves, and you know put it out there on the red table talk, that's a lot.
that's a lot. It's very silly, and so I'm glad. Well, we agree on that. I just had to get that out, man, because that just blew me, man. And as a married man, right? Uh, as as a married man, it for me, I I just put myself in that situation, right? Where I'm like, with what? How would that make me feel if my wife did that? I'd be like, what? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well,
Like, for
as a
real?
single man, I've had a lot of married women say a lot of things to me that you know I'm like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just that's it's. I mean, I just I would just be like, what are you doing? Like,
In fact, I'm gonna take it a step further. Like when you're a single man who's grown up with women, and at my age, and you have a lot of female friends, the stuff you hear about women's husbands and how they feel about their husbands is definitely eye opening. I'll leave it
Oh
at
no,
that.
that's 100%. I mean, I feel like if you look at the way that you a lot of husbands, the things that they would say about, I mean, if you were to go in the locker room and hear maybe if Steph talking or confiding with somebody about something that Aisha does that pisses him off or something like that, or some way he looks at her now. I mean that's just what it is. I think the biggest thing is the fact that you're out saying this out in front of the world. I think
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing. Like I said, people have thoughts. Everybody has thoughts, that maybe you shouldn't have or what have you. But like you said, it goes to another level when you start putting it out everywhere, which is what she did, which is pretty stupid. So okay, so let's switch gears a bit. And so Nelson doesn't know what this is about, but I need to get somebody's something off of this. Like I need to know I just need you to tell me how this makes you feel. That's what I need. That's all I
Okay.
need. That's all I need. Just listen.
Oh no, I got no sound.
You got no side.
Yeah, I got no sound.
Oh my God, y'all can't hear it. Okay, okay. I don't know what. Okay, all right. So I tested this out before, like I did a actual recording, and I put it on. So here's the thing. Then this is not
Uh,
going to do anybody any good, but you'll be
what?
able to.
Okay.
You'll
What's
be
it
able.
called?
It's called uh Haiti Baby Freestyle,
Hmm.
and and it's I don't even know what I can't even. All I can do is put the link to it in the chat, and I will let y'all open it up in another tab, and I just need you guys. I tested this out. I did a recording, and it actually did show up there, so I thought you'd be able to hear it. But this is interesting, and I'm not going to put anything on it. I'm not going to say it's this, it's that. I'm not going to say any of that. I just want y'all to be able to hear this, and just let me know what you guys think when you get an opportunity to hear it, because it's very different, and that's all I can tell you is that it's very different. So that's the link there in the chat. um it's a po- it's a freestyle. So I want you to move up to so everybody, if you move up to the 1 minute 45-second mark.
All right, I'm at the
Oh,
1 minute
I can
45.
hear it. Can you guys hear Nelson's audio?
You can hear mine?
I can hear it a little bit. Turn it up, Nelson. Turn it up. Turn it up
That's
loud.
as loud as it goes.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh my God. Oh, oh God. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sweating. I'm sweating. Oh, I can't do it no more. Okay. So at the end of it, the dudes that are there say, he said, he said, my man said, man, that was something. My man said, hi, 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 hi. He said, I feel like a Haitian Bin Laden.
but I'm Aladdin.
But I'm Aladdin.
Okay.
I think he thinks that Bin Laden and Aladdin are the same nationality. Oh, God.
Oh.
Hi, 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 hi. Oh my God. My wife told me yesterday, she said, if you come in this room talking about some hi, 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 hi.
I'm going to talk to Jada Pinkett about it.
Oh my gosh, she going to talk to Jada. She going to the red table talk. Because you know what? I feel a little bit just disillusioned
Just
because
pressured in my marriage.
Brian
He came
said,
into the
hi,
room
hi, 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 hi.
calling herself Bin Laden Aladdin.
I'm gonna and I'm gonna get a tummy tuck. And then you ain't gonna know what's up because I ain't gonna have no more good luck. Hi, 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 hi. I said, man, if that's freestyling, I'm about to be the greatest rapper ever because I can do that all day. All I got to do is just make whatever rhyme. It doesn't have to make any sense. And then when I lose words, I can just go.
Oh, that wasn't even a freestyle though, right? Like he sounded like he was
No, he
doing
said
his own ad lib.
it was supposed to be a freestyle.
I think freestyle now it doesn't mean off
Yeah,
the dome anymore.
right. They changed it. It's not off the dome.
I think freestyle is reading off the cell phone, which
Yes.
if you grew up when we grew up,
you already know. You already know that's some trash.
Reverend Run is rolling over in his grave.
Yes, yes. What, Reverend Run ain't dead?
That's an expression.
Brian. Oh, okay. I was about to say, don't say that. That scared me. That's
fine.
my dog. I said, did I miss something?
No, he's fine.
Okay. I'm like, that's my dog, man. Man, that was the worst thing ever.
That's pretty bad. I don't know if it was the worst thing ever, but that's pretty
bad.
Oh
my God. I'm trying to tell you, what's that boy named? Ugly God? I thought he was the worst rapper. But nobody. I have never heard anybody worse than Haiti Baby. His name is Haiti Baby. Y'all. Yeah. I'm just trying to get everybody to understand. Whew. That I'm gone. I had to give myself that. Oh God. Hi, 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 hi. I think that's the only way you can enjoy that. You have to be hi, 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 hi.
Oh no, I enjoyed that thoroughly. Not as a song, but I had a good time.
You know what I want you to do? I want you to download that, Nelson.
That's not going to happen.
I want you to put a guitar track behind.
I don't have the space on my computer.
Oh my God. Everybody in the world needs that in their life at least once. Okay. All right. So now let's go to something that is going to bring me all kinds of hate. So I got on my extra pair of drawers so that I can deal with the hate that I know is coming. But I stand firm with this. I've said it before. We've alluded to it in the past, and I decided to let everybody know on the Twitterverse how I felt about it. Um, but I made the statement, and I stand by it, that I would take prime Ray Allen over Kobe. And I mean, I'll let you react to that statement, and then I'll
I've already reacted. I mean, that's crazy. You got to justify that.
okay, all
You
right.
have the burden of proof when you say something ridiculous.
And you know what? I'm glad you are embracing that concept, because that is something I have been saying to you for the last 25
Could you
weeks.
make your case? You going
That's
back to
no, I
25
I
weeks?
just want you to
Please state
yeah,
your case.
I just wanted you. I've been trying to get you to understand that if you say something that somebody else thinks is crazy, you got to show them some proof. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. For me, I'm looking at Ray Allen as one. Obviously, is obviously a better shooter. I don't think that anybody in their right mind would make an argument that Kobe Bryant is a better shooter than Ray Allen. I think it's clear he's a better shooter. Um, if you talk about efficiency as a scorer, I think that Ray is a more efficient scorer. It's not even just that I think it. The numbers back it up. If you look at effective field goal percentage, which gauges the weight of twos and threes and free throw efficiency. I mean, well, not free throw efficiency, but it gauges the weight of twos and threes. Ray is superior, especially in his prime years, which is what I'm talking about. Now, mind you, this is not a debate about their career side by side. This is me talking about Ray Allen from 1999 to 2002, which is his prime. This is when he's at his athletic peak and still an amazing shooter, right? Outside of the more efficient scoring, I also I'll argue, and now this isn't anything that you can prove. Actually, before we go to the intangible aspect, let's go with something else that you can still prove. Fewer turnovers. Kobe is clearly was a more stylish ball handler in his prime. But if you look at turnovers, bad passes, which there are stats for all of those things, if you know, you can look at on Basketball Reference and you look at that style of turnovers. You look at how those turnovers came about, where it's bad passes, missed dribbles, fewer turnovers for Ray Allen, and not even fewer turnovers in gross number, fewer turnovers per possession as well. That's another thing you got to look at. Also, the gap
All
on
right,
defense.
hold on, Captain Analytics. Before we go further, I just have a question
Well,
for you.
you said you
I have
wanted
a
me to
question.
say, hey,
You will get ample time. You just, as you're laying out your case, if we can clarify some things for the audience playing at home. You said Ray Allen's prime was from 1999
to
to
2002.
2002.
I would say that's his prime.
Now, you're saying you would say that's his prime. Universally, the prime in basketball is considered between about age 24 to about age 32. You have a pretty big prime in basketball. Why are you cutting Ray Allen's prime so short?
Well, honestly, that's not statistically true. Statistically, if you look at people who have had their best seasons, generally that happens between 25 and 29. Right. And I know this because doing the Ultimate Legends project, where I look at all of the greatest players that ever play, and when you break down their seasons, when they had the best seasons from a statistical standpoint, when you look at things like win shares per, all of the things that gauge overall effectiveness, the high percentage of those years happen between 25 and 29. So
Yeah,
I,
but superstars tend to be superstars up until about 31, 32.
that's true.
And right, and so we're talking about superstar player and Kobe Bryant. I think most people would argue Ray Allen wasn't a superstar, but
Hmm.
you're making that argument now because you're saying he
It's
was better than Kobe.
here,
So why are you
but
cutting?
I didn't finish. I didn't finish
But,
all my.
but, but real quick, why are you stopping his prime at the age of 26, where according to what you just said is only 1 year after his prime is supposed to have started?
I said that's most players. I didn't say that's Ray Allen.
What happened to Ray Allen at the age of 26?
Nothing happened to Ray Allen, but if we're getting off the point, but
No, this is the point though, because
no,
you're taking.
it's not.
Well,
It's not. It's
hold
not
on,
because
hold
now
on. We
you're because I'm setting the parameters for the debate that I'm having. But now you're trying to argue with me about what my parameters are.
yes, because you're bringing up nonsense parameters.
No. See,
If I say I'm gonna compare Kobe Bryant to Ray Allen
how about
on
this?
Wednesday,
How about this?
how did they play on
20 seconds.
Wednesdays?
See, here,
That's ridiculous. That's not real
no.
basketball.
20-second
Why are
timeout.
you stopping the Ray
20,
Allen comparison at 25 years old?
no. I will not.
That's
I
ridiculous.
will not listen to anything that
You
you
don't even
have
have a
to say.
case.
I will listen to anything you're trying to say because you're trying to grandstand, which takes away from the concrete.
Not grandstanding.
You are grandstanding. You are grandstanding.
I asked you why are you
yeah,
ending Ray Allen's
yeah,
prime at the
yeah.
age of 25, 26, and you don't have a reason.
No, I told you why. Because if you look, it doesn't. You're talking about everybody. We're talking about
Even him. What?
two different guys. Okay, here's the thing. Look at the numbers, and you tell me when is Ray Allen's prime.
Well, so you're saying the year that he averaged 26 points?
Look at the numbers, because I know you're allergic to the numbers.
No, I'm not allergic to the numbers.
You are.
I don't. Hold on.
Here's
Real
the thing.
quick.
No. Here's the thing that I understand. Here's the thing I realize. The only people who don't like statistics are people who don't have command of them.
I mean, that sounds great on your Brian fortune cookie,
no,
but it's not real. Here's the thing.
No, it's not
I think numbers.
Not a fortune cookie. It's
So
the real deal.
I think numbers are useful within context.
When you know what they are, but you don't usually know what they are, so that's why you don't use them.
You giving people lessons in efficiency. We all have the internet, Brian. Like we all have the internet.
And you should click on the E.
I don't consider non-playoff performances as important as playoff performances, because one of the things, because a lot of this is regular season stuff. And the thing is, if you aren't playing in the playoffs against a matchup with a great coach who's designing. Let me finish. You gonna cut me off? You gonna cut me off?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Because I never got. I never got a chance to finish.
Here's the thing.
Because you decided that it was over.
I don't agree with the premise. Is a thing in debates, and you're saying arbitrarily that Ray Allen's prime ended when he was 25, 26 years old, and that's nonsense.
So I asked you, when was Ray Allen's prime?
Ray Allen's prime is up until, according to basic statistics, his personal prime is right up until he went to Boston. So everything up to his last year, Seattle, which lines up with exactly what I said, 31 years old. Listen, if he wasn't as efficient, that's just reason why he wouldn't be as good as Kobe Bryant. He just fell off for a year or a season or what have you. Like, that doesn't mean it wasn't his prime. I don't know why he fell off from this season to that season in terms of efficiency. Maybe he had more responsibility. And if he got more responsibility and was less efficient, that's why he wasn't as efficient as Kobe. But please.
He didn't have more responsibility. And as I said, everybody's prime is different. But if you look at the numbers, statistically, most people's prime starts around 25 and goes to 29. But there are situations where that's not the case. This is one of those situations. And here's why. If you look at Ray Allen's efficiency numbers, and if you also look at the athlete that Ray Allen was, that's very important. That's an important part of this concept, is because Ray Allen was a peak level athlete went from these years that I'm telling you about. This is when we're talking about dunk contest Ray Allen, right? This is the time that we're talking about. We're not talking about Ray Allen. Even if you look at the numbers that you're talking about, right? If you go all the way down to 31 and 30 and all of that, look at him in the 2000-2001 season. 48% from the field, 50%, just under 51% from 43% from 3-point range, just under 89% from the free throw line. He averaged 22 a game, 5.2 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. He didn't have another year where he shot that high from the field, that high from 3-point range, and also from the free throw line, as well as rebounding and assisting. Now, he had years that were similar, and he could tell he's still in the same ballpark. But that year, from the 99-2000 year to 2001-2002, is when he was operating, one, at the top of his physical condition, and then also producing from a statistical standpoint. That is the reason why I say that is his prime. And the premise of the argument, you want to argue about when is Ray Allen's prime. That's not even the point. That's not even the point. The point is the years that I'm pointing out. I'm saying if you give that Ray Allen to the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, and you replace him with Kobe, and you place Kobe with Ray Allen, my thought is they win championships just as well. And as I was saying before, you rudely interrupted me and said that you were going to allow me to finish, but then went on a loud rant that was designed to prevent me from finishing. Before I said that, before you did that, we have the gap on defense. The gap on defense is not as wide as most people would suggest. People are talking about Ray Allen on defense like he's Steph Curry or like he's James Harden in the worst years. That wasn't the defender that he was. As I said, you put him, the 99 to 2002 Ray Allen, on those first three Lakers championship teams, and he wins titles too. People have Kobe on the brain, and Kobe is was obviously a great player. Nobody in the world would ever sit up here and say that Kobe wasn't a great player. He was, but you don't know what you can sit up and say in a vacuum. Oh, well, Ray Allen didn't win as many championships. He didn't score as many points as Kobe. Da 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 da. Arguably, Ray Allen too was a better teammate than Kobe. Arguably, like I said, you can't prove that because that's a intangible thing. But arguably, Ray Allen was a better teammate as well. So for me personally, I would take prime Ray Allen. I would, without a problem. Without a problem. But I understand that that's not ever going to be a popular opinion, especially not in this era where we are injected with Kobe juice on a daily basis. That's never going to be. And you know what Kobe's greatest skill was? Kobe's greatest skill is his absolute confidence. Kobe has so much self-confidence that he's able to make everybody else forget his faults, forget his shortcomings, all of it. All of it. You forget the fact that he played in a way that was inefficient, that is in a way that was very you pretty much would tell most people not to play the way Kobe played. Not to take the shots that he takes. Not to take those shots. But he took them. And because he was so supremely confident in doing so, he was able to pull people to the side. And also, he was great. I would never say or imply Kobe wasn't great.
Are you done? You just saying the same thing over and over now.
If I'm still talking, then that means I'm not done.
Well, you have a new point? You have a new point?
No.
You added information?
No. Maybe patience is a virtue. You know,
what's the piece of information? What you got?
Because I sit and listen to you rant about several things, and I didn't say a word.
What you got? Okay, you haven't provided a real case. You said you think if you take this Ray Allen from 99
that's the case.
to 2002. Now, when you say 2002, you mean 2002, 2003, or just 01, 02?
See, you shouldn't ask somebody if they got anything else if you wasn't listening when they said
I'm just clarifying for the audience. You went on for a while. We clarifying.
Maybe the audience was listening and you wasn't. Because what I said was 99 to 2000 to 2001, 2002. I said those seasons, and I even named some of the.
Wait a minute, you saying 3 seasons was his prime, and in that 3 seasons he averaged almost 22 points a game?
No, he averaged over 22 points a game for those 3 seasons.
How did he average over 22 points? The way I'm looking at the stats right here. It says 22.1, 22.0, and 21.8.
So I didn't add all 3 of them up. It looks like I'd have to look at the total numbers.
But math.
Okay, so 21. Oh, so if it's 21.9 or 22.
Yeah, that's what I said. Almost 22 points a game.
Well, either way, I think with that. I mean, I don't think that's really all that consequential either way. You know,
I just asked you a question.
Right. And I gave you
getting defensive. You getting defensive.
No, I gave you an answer.
Because you saying a guard who averaged 22 points a game in his overwhelmingly long 3-year prime is better than Kobe Bryant. I'm gonna just let the audience chew on that.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's not what I said. That's not what. See, listening is your issue. That's your problem.
So you're not saying that Ray Allen was better than Kobe Bryant?
No, I didn't say that. I said prime Ray Allen. See, because the way
This
you say
3 year
it,
period,
the
which
way
for you is this 3 year period, not his actual
it's
prime.
coming out. It keeps coming out. It keeps coming out. This is a problem. It keeps happening. What I said was prime Ray Allen, which by my definition is those 3 years. I would take prime Ray Allen over Kobe.
Now,
It
when you say real quick, you say over Kobe, do you mean Kobe's best 3 years, like you're taking from what you consider Ray Allen's best 3 years? Or are you saying Kobe judged fairly like we normally judge players?
I'm saying Kobe at his best. The '06 Kobe at 80 points against the Raptors Kobe. I would take prime Ray Allen over that Kobe.
So you're saying 40, 45 or 46% from the field, Kobe Bryant, 31.1 points per game?
Yep. Well, actually, there was another season of Kobe's that I actually liked a little bit better. It's one of them. I think he shot 36% from three.
I'm
Um,
sorry, I'm looking at Pete per 36. Let me see where's the real joint.
there is which one was it? It's one it's a year that it's which one is it? I think it's either 0506 or 0203.
That's the 0506 is 35 points per game.
Right.
0203 is 30 points per game. In 2001, he averaged 28.5 points per game, and the percentages, the field goal percentages there are 40. You're saying Ray Allen's more efficient, but
Yeah.
you're using advanced statistics, not just field goal percentage. The interesting thing about that is that Kobe, his responsibility was to break the defense in those years. Like he wasn't a role player. He wasn't a guy who had plays made for him.
Neither was Ray.
He was the primary. Actually, when he played with Sam Cassell, he did have a guy playing making plays for him. Sam Cassell was a great point guard who made plays for a lot of people, Ray Allen included.
Ray
And
Allen, Sam Cassell averaged how many assists?
it's not about him averaging. It's not just about averaging assists. Everybody knows that.
But
It's
he's making plays for him. How is he? How?
because because it's about penetration, control of the plays. The ball moves around, and you get a shot. That's one of the things why what Ray is good at, catching the ball and shooting, is inherently a complementary skill, right? Whereas what Kobe's good
But
at,
see, that's
which is taking
that
the ball and scoring against a guy, is
that's
inherently a primary skill.
that's oversimplifying Ray's offense. Ray was
No, I'm
not
not saying that's all Ray
he's
did.
not a catch and shoot guy exclusively in his
I,
prime, which
I
is
never
why
said
that
exclusively. You making stuff up. You putting
no,
words in my mouth.
no,
I didn't
no,
say
no,
exclusively.
no. You said that his inherent skill is catching and shooting.
One of his inherent skills.
You didn't say one of. You said his inherent skill.
It is an inherent skill. I didn't say
Right.
his only inherent skill.
Okay. You said his inherent skill.
That is his inherent skill. In fact, I would say that is definitely his number one skill. That's the thing he's best at. That is
Mm,
the thing that throughout his
and
entire career he held on to from his rookie year till his last day playing. That even to the celebrity all star, the thing he's best at is catching and shooting. Just because he's good at other things doesn't mean that that's not what he's best at.
no,
Unless you count free throw shooting.
no, I wouldn't say I wasn't saying that. What I'm saying is in Ray's prime, which is what we're talking about, Ray was just as deadly off the dribble as he was shooting from distance on catch and shoot. So that's why I'm saying that you can't oversimplify Ray's offense and saying that because so many people think of Ray as the spot up shooter. But in Milwaukee, Ray was far more than that. He was the guy who was going to get buckets, creating offense for himself and creating offense for other people. Because if you, like I said, if you look at the assist numbers, you see he was creating for other people as well.
Oh,
And we're
his
talking about
3.8 assists, his 3.9 assists. Whoa. Kobe, who's a bad playmaker, averaged 5 assists. But whatever.
well,
C- c-
the
Continue on.
the
His usage rating and all this other stuff.
the season that I pointed out initially, the 2000-2001 season, he averaged 4.6
So
assists.
now we're down to one season.
No. I said the season that I pointed out initially, which
So he was a good
the one
playmaker for one season.
no 4.6 assists, 3.8 assists, 3.9 assists is a better than respectable number for a shooting
Sure,
guard.
it's Kobe's career numbers basically.
For a shooting guard, it's a better a more respectable number than that. And a lot of why I pick Ray Allen also has to do
By the way, Kobe averaged 6 assists during this period, 7 in 1 year.
during which period.
During these peak years you're talking about, Kobe averaged during Ray Allen's peak years. Kobe
Kobe averaged Kobe never averaged 7 assists a game.
No. He averaged 6 assists, and he averaged five point
So you
nine,
said 7. So
five point
now who's
five.
making things up? You said 7. Who's making things up?
Sorry, I was probably looking at one of his playoff years
Yeah,
there.
you was.
That's my bad.
This is not 2K. The numbers
Dude,
are
you holding on to nothing, man.
there. I mean,
This Kobe averaged more assists than Ray Allen basically every year that you can compare them. I think every single year that you can compare them, he averaged more assists. But again, you also
again,
have things like loose usage rate that
usage
you can go
rating,
into.
which is very
Why
important.
why do you use Kobe more than Ray Allen? Because he's a better player. He'll get you
No,
more
you
points.
use Kobe more than Ray Allen because Kobe's not gonna pass.
How's he not going to pass? He averaged more assists than Ray Allen.
We all know how that works. We all know how that works.
I
We all
mean,
know how that works. We all know
during
how flat looking at assist numbers is only going to show you so much.
I mean, there's a lot of flat numbers you can look at that only show you so much, but I still haven't seen a case as to why you think that pairing Ray Allen with Shaquille O'Neal gave you a better chance against the San Antonio Spurs and the Sacramento Kings and the Utah Jazz and the Portland Trail Blazers than pairing prime Kobe Bryant in that situation. By the way, the argument could be made very easily that prime Kobe Bryant didn't even play with Shaquille O'Neal, that he became an overall better player after Shaq left. But
I
you
would
know,
I would I
it's
would
not a hit
say
or there.
I would say prime Kobe Bryant is 01, 02 is when his prime started. That was their last championship together. To me, that's when he was that guy like that. I mean, the year before that was pretty amazing too, 28.5 points a game. But that next year, when you look at overall, especially the way he played in the postseason, I think that was really when you started to see him take. Because if you look at what Kobe did in that first finals against the Pacers, which this doesn't have anything to do with the argument, but Kobe was a regular dude. I mean, I wouldn't say a regular dude. He averaged 15 a game in the finals against the Pacers. 15 a game. Like Reggie Miller smoked him in that finals
Isn't
based
that isn't that the one where he got hurt? He twisted his ankle early on. Jalen Rose undercut him.
on Jalen Rose undercut him. I don't think that
Game one of that series,
was that
or
I
was
was
it game two?
I don't know if that was a postseason game when Jalen Rose put the foot under his ankle. See,
one
here's
one nine
here's
eight
the
nine
thing.
says, "How are you in your prime at
Okay,
22?"
okay.
According to Brian,
Let's
Ray
keep
Allen's
let's
prime is
let's keep
different
it with
area.
let's keep it with the people on the show. Okay. Okay. Here's the
Oh,
thing.
we ain't allowed to talk to the chat now.
Yeah,
We know that we're not a live show for a reason.
yeah, we are a live show, but what I'm saying is prime is a person's prime does not always align exactly the same. A person can hit their prime for different reasons. If you look up at if you look at several players across their careers, there will be I'll give you one right now. Look at Spencer Haywood.
Oh
Spencer
my
Haywood.
goodness.
What do you mean? What did he not exist? Is he a dead man?
You comparing guards to bigs now?
No, no,
Like,
no, no. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Look at Spencer Haywood, and you look at his numbers across the board, and you tell me which one of his seasons was his best season. All right, his rookie season by far is his best season. There's several other players whose best years happened at different.
what superstar?
Kevin Johnson's best season, you could make a strong argument his best season was when he was 30 years old. He wasn't
Okay,
anywhere near
but
as fast as he was in his mid 20s.
that's in line with what I was saying. Is that the
But what?
the
No,
all-star level
that's
prime is generally
that's
between 24 and about 32.
that's one guy. That's one guy here, and 8 years is a really big range, bro. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean
that's
that you
that's
can.
why Kobe's in so many all-star games.
I mean, you can. I mean, if that's the case, you can never be wrong. 24 to 32. What I'm saying is, it's different for every player. Every player does not have a prime in the same exact time period. And just because a guy had it when he was technically in his prime, had his best season when he was 23, that's not preposterous. That's not preposterous at all. There are several people who have had their best season at a time period or at an age where you'd be like, wow, I can't. But that's why people say, man, he's having his best season of his
Well,
career.
what I
He's
would
above
say
our age.
is that the reason Ray Allen had some few nagging injuries, nothing like incredible, but some things that caused him to miss some games. But the overwhelming thing was, I think in Seattle, they just didn't have a perfect system for him and Rashard Lewis, for him to peak the way he did in Milwaukee when George Karl was trying to see what he had. And George Karl, who by the way called him a Barbie doll, who was a princess in practice, but great teammate and all that other stuff. So I'm gonna just say I
You want
haven't
to talk
seen.
about all the names Kobe's been called?
I'm gonna just say I haven't seen any evidence that Ray Allen is better than Kobe Bryant or peak Ray Allen was better than peak Kobe Bryant. The wins don't say that. The the scoring doesn't say that. The NBA players who talk about those two players don't say that. Like literally, I have not seen any NBA players say what you're saying
I
about
haven't.
Ray Allen
I
versus
don't
Kobe.
know that. I think this was a pretty, you know, original conversation. So I don't know that we can use
Well, it's
that.
it's
And,
original because it's nonsense, and
well,
you don't hear
you know,
nonsense of
well,
this level every day.
well, I think we do because it comes from the dude in New York. But anyway, this is what I'm saying.
Now he laughing at his own jokes. This is
Well,
sad, guys.
well,
I'm sorry for this. Like
you know,
this is
you know
normally
why?
I try to give you guys great information, and I would love to have given you guys a fantastic debate. But
Yeah.
he's speaking nonsense. He's taking
Well,
Ray Allen's
here's the thing. Here's
Milwaukee
the
years. He's
thing.
excluding Seattle Ray Allen entirely. That guy is too washed up to compare to Kobe. We
Yeah. Well,
talking about we talking about losing to Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, the scary one.
yeah. That's the scary
I'm
one.
sorry, guys. I'm
Did you?
so sorry that
Oh wait. Are you laughing at your own jokes?
I'm laughing at your
Okay,
jokes.
okay, okay. I didn't
I'm
know.
laughing
I
at
didn't
your
know. I
argument,
didn't
which is
know.
a joke.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I thought you.
Your argument was a joke,
You might be
and
hate, you
I
might be
find it
hating
funny.
baby over there. You might be hating baby over there. Hi,
And
hi, hi, hi. I don't know. I don't know
I'm
what's going on.
sorry. I'm sorry
I don't
to
know.
our audience for what's
I don't.
happening right now.
I'm sorry.
Honestly I thought you were gonna make a better case than that. It
Well,
wasn't a very good
well,
case. Like 22 points a game is that's crazy.
here's the
Like
thing. Here's the
is
thing.
Malcolm Brogdon also better than Kobe Bryant because he was more efficient? Come on, man.
No, no.
Ah, By Disney said I'm laughing at
Didn't
Nelson's
say
joke.
that.
Thank
Didn't
you,
say
By
that.
Disney. I appreciate. Listen, we
Listen,
got everybody still in the chat here. I'm glad you guys rocked with us and stuck with us throughout this. This was a low moment in our programming
yeah,
so far.
it was. It was because you demonstrated your inability to have a conversation.
If anybody in this chat would take Ray Allen over Kobe Bryant, please put a 1 in the chat. If you wouldn't, just type nothing and just let it rock.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna ask y'all to write nothing, but
Well, I appreciate that, and I
in
appreciate you.
fact, right at 81. Right
I,
at 80. Right
I
at 81
appreciate
in the
you
chat.
trying to.
If you
I
take
appreciate
Kobe
you
over
trying
Ray Allen.
to increase our audience engagement. That contribution is very much appreciated. It's very much appreciated. That's awesome. Let's look at them. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Look
we
at
got some 81s. Let's
I
go.
see we
Oh,
do. I
oh
knew
my
we would.
God, it's
I
rolling.
knew we would. I knew we
It's
would. I
rolling.
know we would. I know we would. I know we would.
Oh, what on it? I said Ray Allen would take Ray Allen over Kobe. I'm inclined to agree with you. I actually genuinely don't think Ray Allen thought he was better than Kobe Bryant. And the
Yeah.
funny thing about the Ray Allen discussion is Ray Allen has played with such great teammates. Like he's had his opportunities. He's not like Tracy McGrady who only had an injured Yao Ming and never really, had a lot of injuries. Ray Allen played a lot of games with a lot of good players. If you had put Kobe Bryant on that Boston team with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen was playing with Pau Gasol, good lord,
Oh, they
good,
would have lost.
good lord.
Like Kobe and them lost to the first time. Oh, you right. My bad. They did lose to Ray Allen, but that's not even my argument. But since you want to go outside the parameters because you can't control
And
yourself, it's
Kevin
okay.
Garnett and Paul Pierce, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot. See, can you see? It's like sometimes the circle is here, right? But you go here.
I love that I'm still seeing 81s in the chat.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll put one too. I'll put one too. Since does that make you feel better?
Don't be fraudulent. Stick to your argument, man. Stick to your argument.
That make you feel better?
Stick to your guns, sir.
I
What I'm really glad is I'm glad the entire AtMeBroShow audience has heard your full argument that Ray Allen's prime was from 99 to 02. Seattle Ray Allen don't count.
right, because I'm not
And
talking about that.
excuse me, I'm just talking to my audience here.
Oh yeah,
I'm
you know what? You are right.
glad
You are
I'm
so right.
glad that you guys got to hear
But
the entirety of
noticed?
his feelings.
You know what I noticed? You know what I noticed? I noticed that live chat and after the video is published, the comments are a lot different than live chat. I wonder why.
Because you don't have time to get your cousins to back you up.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is.
Kobe broke up the big three.
I wonder why that is. Examine that. Examine that. Riddle me that. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
don't.
You don't like hip hop. I forgot. My bad. But
I mean, that's from a 1960s Batman show, but whatever.
okay, I'm
That's
just
all good.
not. No, that's not. That's well, it's a Jay-Z reference, but it's
To a Batman show.
yes, but it's my enunciation of it was Jay-Z, so it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. Like I said, I don't actually need. See, this is the thing. When you are Brian Mazique, you don't need nobody else to say 81.
Oh no, the third person. What's the next subject, guys? We speaking in the
You don't
third
need
person
nobody.
right now.
Right. You don't need nobody to say 81.
We speaking in the third
Yeah,
person. Oh
I'm
my
gonna.
God.
It's gonna
Let
be
me ask
what
you
it is.
something. What was Ray Allen's best performance in the playoffs as a lead player?
As a lead player, what's
Yeah,
that
as a
definition?
number one option on his team, as the first option or second option. What was his best performance as the
In the
number two
in the
guy?
in the postseason?
Yeah.
I have to look that up. I didn't.
Oh.
It wasn't in what I was.
So in comparing Ray Allen to Kobe Bryant, you were just looking at the regular season.
I said I would take prime Ray Allen, which was those years,
Regular
and
season.
yes, that was
Okay. I'm gonna just
that.
let the chat
No,
absorb
it
that.
wasn't. No, I didn't say I was just looking at regular. You said that. You
I'm
said
at, I asked you about
you
the
said it.
playoffs, and you hadn't even
So
you don't even have it on
the
deck.
best, I would say 2000, 2001 is his best postseason. He was freaking fantastic when they went to the conference
And
finals.
you think that was better than Kobe's best postseason?
Not statistically, no, it's not statistically better. But as I said, part of the reason of me taking Ray Allen over Kobe Bryant is not solely about the numbers, not
Oh,
solely
it's
about the
it's
numbers.
solely
So
because you
no,
possessed by a demon that
it's
makes you say crazy things.
I see. You know what has to happen.
It's solely because you have a virus.
No, yeah, yeah, I do. I do. I do. It's the Blake itch.
Ugh, that don't sound right. I'm
Yeah,
gonna, I'm gonna
yeah,
put a big pause on that for the people
yeah.
at home.
You should. You should. You could put a pause on some other stuff too, but you keep going. So it's just what it is. But
It's
the
just from
the,
81.
the best,
Uh,
as I said, the best season for Kobe is 2000, 2001. In I mean, for Ray Allen in the postseason. So it was a fantastic season. There are different types of players, which is part of why I would take Ray Allen over Kobe, prime Ray Allen over Kobe. They're different types of players, and I think perhaps Ray Allen and Shaq don't break up because they're different types of players, different types of personalities. It's all of that, as I said, rolls into this entire concept. Ray Allen, for my taste, and for what I think would be the most successful player playing, especially playing with that Lakers team, I take him every day. Take him every day. I personally find Kobe Bryant to be one of the more overrated players in NBA history. Still a great player, still a probably top 10 player all time. But I think there's a lot of Kobe Bryant sins that are forgiven because he's Kobe.
I think there's a lot of sins that are forgiven because he won 5 championships and
Well, he won
went to the
three with the
final.
biggest, baddest dude in the world on his side. So I mean, I totally give Kobe his credit for being Robin to the Batman. But
No,
I'm not going
if
to. I'm
once
not going
again
to throw
we're
that
making
away.
Batman references.
I'm
If you
not
know
going to throw
anything
that
about
away.
Batman and Robin,
I'm not going to throw
uh,
that away. I'm not going to minimize Shaq. I'm not. I'm not going to
who
minimize.
said anything about minimizing Shaq?
Yeah, I'm not going to minimize Shaq. And
Nobody's
that
minimizing Shaq. But when a guy averages 30 some odd points per game, I think he deserves credit
and
as
he does get credit. He
a
is.
primary reason for winning a championship.
And he does get credit, and he is and I agree that Shaq needed to have someone along those lines with him. He did. Did he have to have Kobe? Is playing the way Kobe played? No, he didn't. He didn't.
Well,
You
Prime
if
Shaq only won with Kobe.
what?
Prime Shaq only won with Kobe.
Okay, so you're saying okay because they shared a prime, basically.
Well,
Or well, no, his prime was Shaq's prime ran into the beginning of Kobe's prime. But Shaq Shaq would have won a championship with Penny had he not left Orlando.
hmm.
He would have won a
I
championship.
mean, you can say that. That doesn't make it
Right.
true.
Right. I can say that. Exactly. And just like you can say all of these things about Ray Allen and Kobe, but it doesn't make any of it true.
I mean, Kobe has 5 championships.
Yeah.
That's true.
That is true. That is,
According to your logic, Ray Allen only has one.
where is that at?
Because you be trying to shadow box Kobe's 3 championships with Shaq. He averaged like 27 points per game next to Shaquille O'Neal.
I don't.
Uh,
Why does
Ray
Why did that mean Ray
Ray
Allen?
Ray Allen just hit a clutch shot coming off the bench for LeBron James, and
No,
he gets all the credit for his ring.
no, he don't get. I never mentioned Ray Allen's rings one time.
Of course not, because you ain't trying to talk about playoff
No,
Ray Allen.
no, I never mentioned
You
his
talk
ring.
about regular season Ray, this new
I'm talking.
character that you just made up.
I'm talking about 27 points, 47% from the field, 47% from 3-point range, over 18 postseason games in 2000, 2001. You asked me what was his best postseason performance? That was it.
Yeah, which you looked up after the fact because you were talking
Because it
about
wasn't
regular
a part
season
of my
Ray.
it wasn't a part of my original
Right.
concept.
Right. Because you were
Because I
comparing,
wasn't
you
looking
were
at
saying
I wasn't
you'd
pulling
rather have
Ray off
regular
stat.
season Ray than
No,
playoff Kobe.
no,
Because the reason
no.
playoff
You
Kobe's a
couldn't.
thing
No,
is
see,
because Kobe's a better player than Ray. He's more
how,
consistent. He gets to the
how about
postseason more.
if the argument was that weak, you don't have to add things to it that weren't there.
Regular Ray versus Black Mamba.
Right?
Yo, regular Ray in the chat. I love it. I love it. I love
I,
regular Ray in the chat. We got regular Ray, Diamond Galaxy Opal regular Ray versus
yes,
actual Kobe Bryant that we have evidence for. Next topic. What's the next
that
topic?
you know what?
I think the people have heard
No,
all aspects of your case.
no. Well, you know what they have.
Ray Allen was a worse offensive
They've
and
heard it.
defensive player.
They've
He
heard it in
had less
part.
assists,
They've
less
heard it in part.
points, and less
You know what?
responsibility, less wins.
I think that we should go
He's
to another.
shorter. He was less athletic, but I'll take him over Kobe because he
Are
was
you
more
done?
efficient.
Are you done? Are you done?
I
Are you
hope you
done?
done.
Because you at the lunchroom table beating on the box like this. Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're
Basic
doing.
Ray,
That's what you're
22
doing.
points, Ray.
You ready
I'm,
for you
I'm just
waiting for somebody
enjoying
to
our
no, you
highly
waiting
educated
no,
audience.
you waiting for somebody to come out the back and say that you spitting super high fire. That's
I,
what you waiting on. That's what you waiting
the
on.
chat's already doing
That's
that. I
what
don't
you
gotta
waiting
wait.
on.
I
So
don't gotta wait.
they
The
holding you
chat's
now.
all over
Now
it.
you might as well you got the glasses on. You might as well just fall back like my man.
Oh
You might as
man,
well just do it because
chat is all over
you're
it.
spitting super high fire. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Oh.
They already told you got the best rhymes. Your freestyle, you hi. You did it. That's
What else you got, B?
That's
What else
it.
you
That's
got?
it. That's it. That's it.
I'm gonna
You
let
are
the audience decide on regular season Ray versus the actual Black Mamba. Y'all do y'all thing.
here's the thing. They can decide whatever they want, but it doesn't change. Like I said, this is how I take it.
Oh,
This is how
I know you gonna be crazy no matter what.
yeah,
You
right.
stubborn guy.
That's
I,
right. No, it's not stubborn. It's just I believe what I
Tap,
believe.
tap, tap, tap. What's the next topic?
I believe the next topic happens when I say it happens.
Sorry. Oh wait. What is
Okay.
it? What is it?
Okay.
What's the next topic?
So when I do that, then we go. Okay.
Y'all see, the audience is scouting you, Brian, getting defensive. Y'all see him in the defensive stance.
When I do that, then we go.
Brian slapping the ground like KG right now.
Yeah, no. When I slap, then we'll go. Okay. No, on 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we go. All right. Next topic is franchise mode discussion. Now, who want to talk about franchise mode and who would take Ray Allen number 1 with their franchise mode pick if you were doing a fantasy draft? Nobody. 81. 81 will. Yeah. Nobody would. Nobody. 189 said nobody would take Ray Allen with the number 1 pick. Now, basically, there's a lot going on right now with franchise modes. Um, um, it's it looks like we're starting to get like a little bit of a resurgence with with just companies paying attention to franchise mode, and it's shockingly enough, Madden is kind of leading the way. They are showing a little bit more interest in franchise mode than they have in the last 4 or 5 years, and I think that I don't know. We'll see if that. I mean, well, 2K's been doing it all along, so I don't know if definitely MLB The Show needs to pick up the slack there, but I don't know. It's definitely something that I would like to see because that's my favorite style of game mode. But well, I don't know. I know that's not necessarily something that you play consistently, but I know there are a lot of people who, um, I think a part of I don't know which I don't know what audience you necessarily want to say, but definitely there's still a lot of franchise gamers out there.
Hmm. I mean, it depends on the game you're talking about. I think with the surge of these my team, style modes, the card game modes, a lot of the 5-on-5 crowd has moved over there, and the statistics for 2K bear that out. We don't have exact numbers; they're not releasing those numbers, but from what we hear from our inside sources, who we shall not be named, the czar, um, there's a lot more park, uh, pro am, my career, and my team players than franchise players, which is why I think the future of franchise modes is more integration. 2K actually took a step forward this year in my career with the team takeover and the benefits of being a 90, above 90 in the game, because you can control trades, you can control free agent acquisitions, and when you're in takeover, you control all 5 of your players. So for all intents and purposes, you're playing a percentage of a more franchise like mode in your my career. Madden has always had this with connected careers, but they're more the inverse, where the actual my career part of Madden is really just player lock for the most part. Um, I think the future is bringing those two experiences together and giving us freedom and access to these things. Because imagine if my career people could do everything franchise mode people could do. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think 2K has an inherent prejudice against that. And I think 2K in particular, to focus on them for a second, needs to get away from the idea that my career needs to be this difficult thing. It's not difficult. All right. You can look up on the internet and see any method for breaking my career every year. You guys can waste time fighting that, or you can make this more fun. I say go with more fun. You can keep it challenging in its own ways, but make it more fun. And if we could do my career and franchise at the same time, I think people would be more interested in doing franchise because they'd be so used to those features. They go, okay, I'm going to keep my career character, but I want to do this with another team. I want to control this aspect of it and not have it as separated. I think as the franchise modes have developed over the years, as the my career modes have developed over the years, they've kind of gone from being the same thing originally, where franchise you could just player lock and franchise, that was as good as it got. They separated where my career had its own features, franchise had its own features, to where I think they need to come a little bit more together now. Maybe there's a version of franchise mode that's more specialized. Maybe there's a version of my career that's more specialized, but I think the main game should be an integrated version of the two. And I think for a lot of these games, Madden, which struggles with connected careers and the features, uh, MLB The Show, which I've heard you and Jason Battle and Los say that Road to the Show could use more features. Um, I think they wouldn't have to waste resources if those modes just had more access between the two of them. Does that make sense to you?
Um, yeah, but I don't necessarily want the blend. I mean, I wouldn't mind having the option,
Well, it's
but
already blended.
what do you mean?
Because if you do a franchise mode and you player lock,
Hmm.
that is effectively more of a my career experience in your franchise. It's already blended. It's the same thing like with my career. If I do my career, but I control all 5 people and I control trades and free agents, that's more of the franchise mode. So they're already being blended. And people are enjoying the freedom of those blends. So we're talking about what kind of freedom do you want taken away from you?
Well, I don't know how many people take advantage of that, especially with the my career aspect and playing with all 5 teams. I don't know. I haven't
No, no,
seen
all
that happen.
5 players,
I
all
That's what I
five
meant.
players.
That's what I meant. All 5 players. I haven't
Everybody does it.
take
Look
and
at,
they you when I'm saying like, and you literally play it like you would play a 1v1, like, or a regular exhibition game.
yeah, you control all 5 players when you get team takeover.
Oh, yeah. Okay, when you get team takeover, I meant
Yeah,
just
yeah.
in general, just like, okay, no, that's what I meant. So I still see the thing. Here's the thing, and I think this is what a lot of like if you're not like a franchise head, right? The thing about franchise that is the most magnetic is not what happens while the game during the games. That's not it. It's the off season. That is essentially why you play franchise mode. You play franchise mode to get to the off season to do all of your GM type stuff. That's the draw. That's what makes you like, yeah, this is dope. That's what does it for you. If so blending all of that stuff from a gameplay standpoint, that's cool. It's cool. And like I said, having the option to do it is great, but really giving people those sandbox, that sandbox feeling of being able to recreate their entire leagues and do all of these different stuff and be creative with that. That is where you get the most pure franchise enjoyment.
Let me throw something at you. All right. Say you're playing one of these games, doesn't matter which one, and you're doing an expansion team. And you know it's going to be a struggle in the beginning. You're just trying to get your assets together. You're doing your thing. And 3 seasons in, you think you're about to be a playoff level team. And then going into that third season, you're like, I'm going to play more of these games personally, right? And so at the beginning of that season, you click the option start of my career.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the players in your what you call it on your roster is a my career slot. You do the whole thing. You create a player, low stats, you develop it on your own. You're going to player lock that player, but you're doing this now with your franchise team. And for that season, you develop that player. You get to the playoffs. You do your thing. You play that player online and whatever my career modes are available to that particular game. And then you go, you know what? I'm done with that player. And then I trade him and he's gone. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just about giving you the option to jump in and jump out. Because I think you say it's about the offseason. In my personal experience, when I was a franchise mode player, which was my 2K experience for up until about 2K9. So from all of the NBA live games up until 2K9, everything was franchise mode, expansion teams, the whole deal, right? Then when my career came out, I slowly started doing less franchise, and my career became my main thing as far as playing against the computer. For me, it was always about choosing what role to play at one time. Some games I wanted to play because it would be more fun or more interesting but from a gameplay standpoint based on what I'd done. Sometimes the season, if the team was too good, there's no reason to play, right? So it's just about simming through that and doing off-season stuff to maintain greatness or what have you once you get to that level. And the jump in, jump out from being a player to being a coach to being a GM to being an owner, that's the beauty of franchise mode. Not just the offseason, not just GMing and stuff like that. It's really being able to do all of those things. And so what I'm saying is if they advocate for more freedom in these modes, they can have the best of both worlds. And franchise players actually be happier with it because if your my career players are playing the game more and enjoying the game more because of the franchise options they're getting, then your franchise players are benefiting, getting the runoff from that bigger player population.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the concept, but as I was saying, I do still think that I like what you're saying because the fact of the matter is the way that I enjoy franchise and the way like hardcore long time franchise mode fans enjoy that or enjoy the concept, that's not going to be something that's going to live a long time with this current generation and future generations. So if you still want to have franchise in there and have it have all of the different levels that it'll have, you're going to have to do some of these things that you're talking about. So I totally and 100% agree with that because it is about that interpolation between different modes and that sort of thing. You got to have that crossover because how do you attract someone to something that they never tried? You put it in something that they always do.
And
You
to
know.
to go in with that, part of the integration is also the game economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if one of the reasons I don't play my team is because that's time I could be spending on my player and I don't earn VC in my team.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't even say, well, after 2 weeks of my team games, I can forget about my deck and change my mind and go make a brand new my career player. I can't do that. All of the economy stays in that mode. I can do the reverse, but I can't do it both ways. And with the franchise mode, there's a similar thing. There's not really an integration there. If you integrate the features, you can also have the freedom to integrate the economy. So imagine if now they've done it with my career, right? You get these my team packs for getting your player up to a 90. Now that's not a whole lot, but I'll tell
Mhm.
you what, for making a bunch of characters and having several 90s, my deck is better than it would have been had I just started. It's not a good deck, but it'd be nice if, say, two guys play one guy plays my career for a month straight, and another guy plays my team for a month straight, and another guy plays franchise for a month straight. Each of those people could switch to any of the other two modes they didn't play and have 50 to 65% of an economy bonus, so that they're not forced to choose which game they want to play entirely. Is another reason that I would have integration. So you can integrate the economy, because it's not just about preference, it's also about time,
Yeah.
right? Like
Hmm.
I'm on a deadline right now, so I don't have a lot of time to play video games. So if I play 2K, I'm doing a couple of pro am games and I'm out. If I want to play next time, there's not a whole lot I can take from those pro am games and put into my league or put into my team to encourage me to play those modes. I have to choose to start from zero on every single mode. I think they need to get rid of that. I think we're past that. And the lack of integration is stunting the growth of the less popular modes, both from a feature standpoint, a popularity standpoint, and lastly, also from an economy standpoint in terms of in-game economy. If the in-game economy could be game, when everybody gets frustrated with Pro-Am, or their deck is finished in my team, nobody's online, or the packs that are live is not something they're interested in, if they had a reason to put that time and effort into my league, knowing that, oh, well, I'm going to get some my team tokens from this, and the stuff that I'm not using, I can sell these cards and use these cards in my franchise in some way as a bonus for whatever. I think the game itself would get bigger and have more life
Yeah.
across. And I think for all of these games, it's like that.
Yeah, I've actually said the same thing before in articles and in videos, that there needs to be some incentive in my league that crosses over with my team and my career. I even made the suggestion that if you win a championship in my league, there should be a significant VC bonus or a
Mhm.
significant my team reward that you can automatically apply to your my team or automatically apply to your my player, that would incentivize somebody to play. And once they're playing, they're more than likely, if you like my team, more than likely you can get some enjoyment out of playing franchise mode, because
Mhm.
it's essentially the same type of game, So I know, I definitely agree with that. I'm just happy to see, um, like I said, with EA, with face of the franchise and the things that they did with their franchise mode, even though there are still some things that they're missing. I really like seeing them make it or appear to make it a priority.
Mhm.
I dig it. I dig that. So,
Yeah.
all right. So let's do some ask us, bro. I saw a couple
Yeah. The questions are
com-
popping.
I saw a couple combat sports questions pop in there.
Mhm.
All right. So let me see. We got M71408 says, "What is your favorite all-time NBA playoff series that you have seen?"
You want to go first? I'll maybe think about mine for a minute.
Um I've seen so many playoff series that it is very difficult to say. Oh, oh, I appreciate that. Shout out to the thumbnail. Yes, the wife has done a great job with the thumbnails. I definitely do appreciate that work for sure. Um, and I am just, yeah, I saw a glimpse of it. I didn't get a chance to really see the whole thing, but um, I'm sure it's fly. I'm sure there it is. Oh yeah, we got Ayesha Curry on there. We got, I don't know who that is. Oh, she got Ray Allen on there, but you don't got prime Ray Allen.
He mean regular Ray, y'all.
Right, she got regular Ray up there. I don't want regular Ray. We want prime Ray.
Your prime Ray is regular Ray.
That's not prime Ray. That's regular Ray. So, but it's still fly. It's really dope. But I don't know, man. My favorite playoff series.
I'm gonna be straight up. I cannot answer that question.
Yeah, it's
There's
that
too
one's
many. There's
tough.
too many good ones. It's too many good ones. It's too many good ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Because there's great series that didn't have my favorite players in it, like Golden State versus the Cavs was ridiculous. Golden State versus Oklahoma City was awesome. A bunch of the Jordan ones. The problem with the Jordan stuff is that, except for the Knicks, most teams did not look like they had a chance to beat the Bulls. Like when you watch those series, it wasn't generally convincing. And even the Knicks, it was somewhat of a stretch, but the Knicks was the only team that looked threatening to me. Um, so that's tough. The Lakers Boston series was great, even though it turned into a grind. So there's just too many, and there's also some old school ones, some Detroit Lakers, like some Lakers Celtics, just some sick series out there. I can't decide personally.
the when the Bulls beat Utah in six in the in for the sixth championship, that one felt a little nervous. That one felt a
Uh,
little nervous.
Not to me.
It felt a little nervous, and it could be because I was
Yeah, I think that's a Chicago thing.
yeah, it felt
Right.
it felt it felt a little nervous. That one
No,
felt a little nervous because it just I don't know. It had I
but
don't
can
know.
you really say any series with Utah in it was your favorite series to
Yeah, see,
watch?
yeah, I hate Utah. I
Yeah,
always
that's
have.
that's what it is. Like the Lakers versus the Spurs is exciting, but I don't think I'm putting Tony Parker on the opposite side of any of my all-time favorite
You
series
you
to
you
watch.
you know what I think might have been my favorite was it I gotta see if this was 87, 88, or was this 89, 90. And I think it was 87, 88. I think it was the 87, 88 first round series. No, that couldn't have been it. That wasn't it because they won by six in the clincher.
That's the
Uh,
other thing. I don't want to pick something that's before the conference finals either. Like I'm not gonna have a favorite where the stakes aren't as high.
but for me, I think, and this is the one
Sacramento versus the Lakers is a very good one. The
that
Sacramento versus the Lakers is really high on my list.
that you know what? It was so funny. Mook Allen just said something that I agree with. That D Rose one with the Bulls against the Celtics when they went into what was it, the triple overtime. That was a first round series, but that
Hmm.
series was outstanding. I mean, the Bulls started it off, got on after they won the jump ball. Derrick Rose throws an alley oop to Joakim Noah from like half court, and that was the first play of the series, and it continued on like at that crazy pace for the whole one. The series with Mike hit the shot, the first shot against the Cavs. That was for me personally, I think the most enjoyable series because at that time I had never seen the Bulls win a championship. They hadn't won one yet. They didn't win that year either. But that was the first time I'd ever seen them good, like really good. And for the weight, I mean, Cleveland was a really, really good team. They were a really good team, well coached. They defended well, but the culmination of that series and my reaction after he hit that shot, for me, that was my favorite series.
Hmm.
That was my favorite series. But that's a very personal pick because I watched it with my
Yeah, that's
brother.
the thing. Like there's
You
homer
know,
picks in there. I
yeah.
can't do it. I can't
I
do it.
mean, it was like I watched it with my brother and all of that, and we watched every game, and it was, it's a lot there. I mean, because I think he hit that shot on a Sunday, and we like ran home, we rushed home from church, and we didn't even get a chance to see the whole thing because we was at church, so we got only like the second half, and we was all so it's a lot going in with that one. But the series was great anyway, but still.
Hmm.
Um, 1989 says, "Can we start to look at the process as a bust now?" Absolutely not. Are
No.
are you talking about the process meaning Joel Embiid
Well, the Philadelphia
or the
overall
Philadelphia
process.
76ers process? Either one, I think that's ridiculous.
Well, I think the somebody made the point on TV the other day on the sports talk that they abandoned the process when they fired what's his name?
Croce,
Yeah, no, not Croce. The other guy. Who?
uh, Colangelo guy. Wait, no, not him. What's the guy? Who they fire?
Yeah.
I
But
know it's
yeah,
uh
but anyway, you know what we're talking about. The designer of the process, he was kicked out, and they started signing all of these, older established players and stuff like that. This is supposed to be, but here's the thing. I think the two things in the
Sam
process.
Hinkie. Sam Hinkie.
Sam Hinkie, there you go, Sam Hinkie. The two issues with the process are currently Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are two of the worst match players in the league. Either one of those players can work, but both of those players don't work. I mean, they still beat Toronto tonight, so you know I'm not going to call the team a bust when they have a chance to make it to the conference finals. That ain't right. Um, the other problem is they've wasted a lot of draft picks. Markel Fultz, Nerlens Noel, Jaleel Okafor, these turned out to be bad picks for those teams. They aren't even necessarily all busts as individual players, right? Nerlens Noel might be a decent six man, which I guess you consider a bust taking that high. Jaleel Okafor looks like he has serious game. He might still turn out to be something because he's showing some signs. And Markel Fultz, he's super young, right? Looks bad right now, but who knows? Got a lot of time. But for their team, they didn't get anything out of those picks. They just signed them, didn't like them, don't have them, and now where are they? So the process has been disrupted. I would say the process overall itself, it's not a bust, but it definitely hasn't gone as well as it looked like it was going to go when they were drafting Markel Fultz. Like that looked like they were in a really nice position when Embiid was looking like he's going to be an MVP level guy. Ben Simmons looking like he's going to be the next coming of a LeBron Giannis type. And now, those two guys, they really need to get rid of one of those guys and find and build the team around the other one because both of those guys still have value right now. And whoever they lose, I don't really have a preference. Obviously, Embiid's a much better player right now, but if you surround Ben Simmons with a bunch of shooters, you can do a Milwaukee thing, a Cavaliers thing. So, but they need to. I think they do need to choose, unless Ben Simmons is going to be committed to developing the kind of game that complements Joel Embiid because it's not good right now.
Yeah, that would be my solution. I wouldn't give up on them as a duo, as a tandem just yet. If one of the main reasons why they're not working is because one guy won't take open shots, I mean that just that just seems like a um if that's that, because I do think that's a part of why they're not working, is because they can't get the level, they can't get the type of spacing that they need offensively too often. Because my man Ben Steiner tweeted a really you know a cool gift today, and he's like, this is why the 76ers struggle on offense, and it's something that we talked about before. Ben Simmons got the ball right after he gave a pass out to the 3-point line. He got it back at the free throw line. His defender was a good foot and a half off of him. He looked at the basket, turned his back, and gave it right back again. You're a 6'10" guard, 6'11" guard, however tall you are, and you're 15 feet away from the basket, and the guy backs up a foot and a half off of you. If you can't attack him or take that shot, you're hurting your team
Well, that's
offensively.
what I'm saying. He has to develop a game that's complementary to
That's what I'm
Embiid.
saying.
And honestly, Embiid needs to lose 30 pounds.
He absolutely does.
He needs
100,
to lose 30 pounds ASAP. He needs to improve his diet. As my man Shannon
100%.
Sharp said, he out here, pooping and throwing up all over the place like a baby.
Yeah.
Like you got to be able to, you got to eat foods you can hold down.
Yeah.
A lot of this is nutritionally related. I know
Yes.
he's a big guy, but he has a notoriously bad diet. And as a person who cleaned up their diet and saw their health skyrocket as a result, he's got to fix it. He's got to get a nutritionist. It's that time. So they both have to grow up and make some adjustments. They are both still really young, but my instinct is that even as personality wise, I don't think they fit. I think I think you could get, and the thing is, you could get so much for each of them right now. You could basically get whatever you want for Joel Embiid, or comparably whatever you want for Ben Simmons within reason. Now, when I say Joel Embiid, I mean basically anybody but the top tier in the league you could probably get. When I say Ben Simmons, second tier, you could probably get a lot of people that you could really, really use that would really help Joel Embiid out. Like, just think about it. If they traded Ben Simmons for D'Angelo Russell straight up, Philly would be a nightmare with D'Lo and Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid on that team. A
Well,
nightmare.
that's if Jimmy comes back, but
Right, and I think they need Jimmy real bad. They definitely should do everything in their power to re-sign him. I know. Oh, look, you just look like you smelt a fart.
No,
You,
no,
you
I didn't.
could. He couldn't even help it. He heard Jimmy's name.
No.
Batman.
Ah,
But,
no,
but
I don't. You know what? I don't think they need Jimmy. I don't. I don't think Jimmy fits what they need either. I think he's a ball stopper, and I just don't think that that works for. That's going to work for them. But Jimmy is a heck of a player, and I've always said that.
yeah.
I've never said that he wasn't. He's a heck of a player, but I mean, I don't think that he's the type of personality that you can win with. I don't. I
Well,
really don't.
and we're getting into that territory. But if you
Yeah.
take that opinion aside, I think just from a game standpoint, I think Jimmy Butler is in certain ways perfect for them because he plays defense, he hits shots, and Jimmy Butler is content to being a good one-on-one option when you need him. He does not ask to consistently be a one-on-one option. And it's hard to find that in the league. It's hard to find someone who's legitimately good at one-on-one scoring from the perimeter, legitimately good at getting you a bucket in the fourth quarter, and is not asking to do it from quarters 1 through 3. And Jimmy Butler's that. And if they don't go with that from Jimmy Butler, they got to find it somewhere else. But honestly, there's not that many players in the league who can do that. And Jimmy's one of the few who can do that. But that's our opinion on the process. What else we got?
Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Is the as 1989 says, is the way to fix the Lakers currently available to them, or are they years off? Um. Oh, I think he's saying like, so do they have the resources to get better like now, or is that do they need years
Okay,
to
so
get to that point?
here's the problem with the Lakers. They are contending with an aging LeBron James, who might be fine after a year of rest. He might be just as good next year, but he's not going to be just as good the year after and the year after. So they have to get good within 2 to 3 years. They have to. They have to. Now, Kevin Durant is most likely going to leave Golden State. So that makes Golden State more vulnerable, but not vulnerable, just more vulnerable than they are, right? So you got to get out of the West with a whole lot of organizations that are way better run than you. They need to hire a Sam Presti type ASAP. They need to stop this not either that or if Rob Pelinka is the genius that you guys think he is, then you got to show it. Now's the time. Get behind him, make him the overlord of all things purple and gold, and prove it. Because you got the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Trailblazers, the Thunder, the Jazz, the Spurs, the Warriors are all already better than you are. And on your heels, you've got the Sacramento Kings. Like you got a lot of work to do. And if free agent doesn't pan out for those guys, literally Anthony Davis would be their only hope. And
Yeah.
that's not a great situation to be in. They definitely need to get, a Kemba Walker or a Bradley Beal, somebody. I don't think one of the bigger free agents is going to go there because quite frankly, you'd be an idiot to go to the Lakers before you go to the Clippers, the Knicks, the Celtics, or the Nets. All those organizations have a better infrastructure right now than the Lakers by far.
Yeah, the Lakers management is hurting them more than LeBron right now.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not on LeBron.
it's bad. It's pretty bad. Um, I do think, and we've talked about this before, how LeBron speeds up your clock.
Yeah.
And so because they have LeBron, they're not in a position to do anything but chase rings right now. So that's all. That's the only thing they can do. But the bad thing is, like you said, they have a lot of other formidable teams that will be vying for these top free agents as well, and who notoriously have maybe I shouldn't say that, but who are in a better position from a you know just from a perception standpoint. These teams are perceived to be in a better
Well,
position
it's
than
not
the Lakers
perception.
are.
The Lakers don't have a coach.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean,
That's
right,
reality.
right. No, no. And I'm talking about like stuff like where people are like, there's a rust. A lot of people are starting to say, I've heard this multiple times from people in the media throughout the week. The Lakers are the worst run organization right now in the NBA. I've heard that
Yeah.
more than one time. So that's never a good narrative to be passed around when you're hoping on signing free
Well,
agents.
again, it's not a narrative though. How
No.
many other what other teams lost their president of operations and don't have a coach?
Well, that's obviously not a great position to be in. I don't
No,
know
I'm
if it.
saying who's worse? Who's
No, no,
worse?
well, I'd have to think for a second who were.
Nobody worse.
Actually, I don't really like. I'm not in love with Chicago situation, to be totally honest.
You know what's messed up? You're right.
Yeah,
Chicago is
I'm
the
not. I'm
only
not in
team.
love. I'm not in love with it.
Honestly, Chicago's literally the only team I put in the conversation.
It's not. It's
Every
not great
other
here.
team is either good or promising. Like honestly, it's a good time to like the league right now
I
because there
don't.
aren't that many bad teams, like terrible teams.
I
A-
don't love. I don't love what's going on in Memphis either. Um.
Oh, I don't mind Memphis situation. I think Memphis is being pretty smart right now, because they had to turn over their roster to get young, and they have to be a little worse than they want to be. They got a really good rookie, and he got hurt. But Memphis, if Memphis was a good team in 2 years, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they're a good team in 2 years. I think they need some special things to go on
And when
because
I
they.
say good, I mean as good as Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I can. Yeah, I can go with that. I can go with that. Okay. We had one that I definitely wanted to get. This one, he came in with one early, and it's my man Sean Singletary, who represents with the combat sports questions, and it was a good question. Oh, here it is. He says, which of the three has the brightest MMA future? Israel Adesanya, Johnny Walker, or Tatiana Suarez? He said, great content, fellas. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. Um, you want to go or you want me to go first?
I'm gonna go first real quick, and I'm gonna say it's Izzy because Izzy is already holding the belt, so he has the best present, which means he has the obvious best future. I don't think the female division is at a point where there's no Rousey on the horizon. And when you say a bright future, I think you got to mean everything, right? Not just the winning, but also the popularity and carrying the sport and bringing in pay-per-views. Like these is prize fighting, right? So it's people who are going to raise the level of prize. Johnny Walker has a chance, but he's nowhere near the level that Adesanya is at. And particularly the fight that Adesanya is coming off of was a fight that answered a lot of question marks about Adesanya. So as a guy who's holding the belt, Adesanya out of those three people is the only one who can lose and still be in a great position. Um, going forward, like Adesanya could lose 2 out of his next 5 fights and be exactly where he is right now, in 2 years. So that's
Hmm.
easy.
Yeah, I would say Izzy. I don't know if I'm as definitive. Not with these two. I think it's pretty a fairly big gap between, not from a skill standpoint. I think it's a good gap between Izzy and Walker and Suarez when we're talking about popularity for sure. I mean, you got to be relatively hardcore to even know who Johnny Walker and Tatiana Suarez are. Um, but Adesanya, I don't know if Adesanya can lose 2 of his next 5 fights and be exactly where he is. I don't know
You
if
know
he has.
why I say that? Because of the competition. Because there's a lot of people of high talent level, and losing to a really great opponent and rematching that opponent is
Mhm.
just fine in the UFC. Like we're totally used to that. Whereas if Johnny Walker lost to somebody that you expect to just be part of his rise, that'd be disastrous.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, I would, yeah, definitely. No, I agree with that. I just said 2 of his next 5, though. That might be a lot. That might be a lot to withstand. Maybe one in a rematch for him to be exactly where he is now as an interim champion, and from a standpoint of people believing or starting to buy into what they're starting to buy into with him, that he might be, which I think is a little overblown. I do. He
Well,
still
I'll paint it out for you.
he's
Uh, Loss, rematch, um, win, loss, title. That could easily happen for him.
Well, he might not get a title shot right after a loss, but
If it's controversial and somebody else pulls out, of course it could. Totally.
yeah, that would be a different type of a situation or a scenario if that were to happen. But Yeah, I mean, he definitely is in the best position of those three, just right now. Johnny Walker does have a chance, but if we're talking about what Books was mentioning, everything, all things involved, then the gap gets a little wider between Johnny Walker and Israel Adesanya, because Johnny Walker is a very fun guy and the whole nine, but he's not the talker and the well, I don't know. Johnny's got some Johnny Johnny is a smart dude in terms of branding. Johnny is talking EA UFC 3 in every post-fight interview. He's telling people to watch him on Instagram, and he's doing stuff on Instagram. So he gets it. And the thing that Johnny Walker does that Israel Adesanya doesn't do is he knocks people out. And that always matters. That always matters. So, and he knocks people out in a way that even the casual fan can understand. You don't got to be technical to understand Johnny Walker's knockouts. Bam, and he goes away. So when you're a knock, and then when you're as big as he is and as athletic as he is, he makes you look at him. So he does have that going for him, but I still would say that Adesanya has the brighter future right now. Okay, well, that's all we're gonna get to today from an Ask Us Bro standpoint. I appreciate all of the questions to try to get to as many as possible. I did jump up there to get that one because it was a combat sports question, and sometimes we don't necessarily get to those. So
Yeah,
I
we got a
wanted to,
couple of those this
we
time.
got actually we got three because Blake Bot had one about should BJ Penn retire, and I did see that one. And my short answer to that, well, he said should the UFC encourage BJ Penn to retire? My short answer to that is absolutely yes.
Yeah, his family should encourage him to retire.
Yes, and then M71408 said after Canelo's victory over Jacobs, where do you rank Canelo on the pound for pound list? Um, I got him number two behind Terrence Crawford. So that's that. That's for me. Um, so yeah, I appreciate you guys watching as always, and God bless and peace. Nelson, you know what? I always mean to I gotta sign off. You need to have a sign off too. I don't know what I don't know.
We gonna do two sign-offs?
Yes, or a dual sign off or something.
Okay.
Sing
Well,
it.
for today, my sign-off is shout outs to Regular Ray. Thanks for
That's
watching.
right. Regular Ray in the house.